All right. Hopefully, this is going down in my headphones and not through just the phone. This actually, let me test this out. Make sure it's going through my headphones and not just through my cell phone itself. Here we go. Settings, audio. Yes, it's going through the Bluetooth. Okay. Yo. It's your boy, the insurance junkie, your fiduciary fella, the all-star advisor Alonzo Hoyer, social media insurance broker, whapping and tapping on your head with an impromptu live stream. The reason for this stream is I've been having some conversations behind the scenes with a bunch of powerful black men, and I need to talk about this space we call the quote unquote black manosphere. Unfortunately, you've got a lot of these dudes who are ass niggas who are stuck, you know, complaining about Pookie getting pussy as opposed to complaining about people with power, right? You get your paper up, women will come after you anyway, whether you're, you know, attractive like motherfucking Morris Chestnut, or if you look like Biggie Smalls, right? Because women like men with power, and men with power usually have money, right? So, you know, instead of being mad at Pookie, get your paper up, and then you can compete with Pookie, right? You can probably demolish Pookie and have the selection of his women eyeing you from the side, right? While they're right next to him. But y'all niggas don't even know about that. Now, right now, I'm walking to my car, so my phone is in my pocket, so I can't even see if anybody is in the chat. If you're in the chat, make sure you hit that like, drop a comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're made aware every time I release new content. And as always, share. What's good, Poppy? Chilling. All right. I'm about to do the same thing, man. All right. So, like I said, instead of being mad at Pookie, fucking get your weight up, and then you can compete with Pookie. But there's too many niggas who are, again, where's he? Huh? Nah, I quit smoking a minute ago, man. Yeah. All right. Um. So it get your weight up, and then you can compete with Pookie. But there's too many brothers up here who are placing blame on women. And when we have these conversations about getting our money up, they don't want to have those conversations, right? We'll have conversations about intangibles, but as opposed to guaranteed outcomes that create guaranteed incomes, we don't really want to have those conversations, right? Well, it's insane how I hear all these brothers. Oh, you sound like the quote unquote women you say that you're despising. How? Oh, I don't know anybody who's like this. None of the guys I hang out with are like that. Well, then who the fuck are these guys that you're complaining about? But really, what I want to talk about today is the powerful conversations that we've been having, right? And these powerful conversations have been a lot of brothers who are in the business class, right? Because the business class, as opposed to the intelligentsia class, is what's really going to make an impact or a difference, right? And why do I say that? Because the business class is where we are going to move things forward, push the needle, and actually grow a community, right? That's where we create that generational wealth and all that other jazz, right? And so, like I said, I was having some conversations with some gentlemen, and they were bringing up extremely valid points. Okay, um, now it's there's something to be said about being in business, right? Because a lot of you brothers talk about you're in business, but you don't know about being in business. Sorry about that, y'all. I had to shoot the invite link to a couple of those brothers, right? And hold on, actually, let me do this. All right, I'm back, y'all. So actually, let me put this in the comments. So if folks want to come up, you can feel welcome to come up as well, right? So let's look at again this overall dynamic, right? Like I said, we got a bunch of brothers who are mad at Pookie, but we don't, for the most part, take the same chances or risks that Pookie takes in business. See, Pookie can go and pick up a bad pack. And if Pookie picks up a bad pack, you know he still has to pay for that bad pack. I know he's not going to make any money off of that bad pack. Well, that's the same thing that happens in business very often, right? Like you can go, let's say you have a product or a service based business. Sometimes you can have that service based business send an invoice and not get paid for 30 days, right? So now you're sitting there and you're like, damn, I did this service and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and waiting, and you're not getting paid off of your product or your service for a whole 30 days, right? So I'm sitting here and I'm seeing a lot of your brothers mad at Pookie and Ray Ray, but Pookie has a purpose and Ray Ray has a reason. Like I said, they got to pick up a pack, pay for it in full from Paco, and then Paco, he paid for 20, but Paco really only gave him 8, right? The other 12 was baking soda, right? He can't go confront Paco wildly because he'd lose. Because again, as black men, we don't insulate each other, right? I was having this conversation with the broke genius last night, and we were using the example of a couple of TV shows. One was what is that? The Wire. But I was looking at Boardwalk Empire. Boardwalk Empire is a very, ironically enough, they shot that TV show at the end of my block in Bedford Stuyvesant, New York. Bedford Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, right? Um, even though it's supposed to be in New Jersey. I know the church they used and everything. I might one of these days go out there and show y'all the block where they filmed most of Boardwalk Empire, right? They had my block shut down for months on end so they could shoot this TV show. But that's neither here nor there. So we were talking about tangibles and intangibles and business, right? And the major issue I think with black men is supposedly you always have to have something to show for it, which is why a lot of guys are mad at Pookie and Ray Ray, because Pookie and Ray Ray, they have exquisite business savvy, but unfortunately it's squandered on what most quote unquote upstanding black men would consider bullshit. Oh, you bought a flashy car, a shiny belt buckle, some Gucci shoes, whatever, whatever. But there's no brothers trying to sit there and enterprise with Pookie and Ray Ray, right? And there's no insulation. So, like I said, me and Broke Genius were having a conversation last night, and we were explaining, well, other cultures, they layer themselves, right? So they'll have a hierarchy, right? They'll have their street guys who are doing their street things, and then they'll have their attorneys and their bankers and their investment guys and their lawyers and their accountants, and then their regular business guys who opens a laundromat, and their regular business guy who opens a janitor service. But even in business, we don't insulate ourselves. If I open a hot dog stand, right? I don't have anybody who looks like me who's in the wholesale distribution business. So when I go get my items wholesale, I'm not going to get the same deal as the Israeli guy who grew up with the other Israeli guy, and they've had a lifelong friendship, right? Am I mad at them? No, that's business. You're supposed to take advantage of every opportunity that you can take advantage of in business. That's how businesses thrive and they grow and expand, right? So at the end of the day, where it might cost the Israeli guy to the Israeli guy 50 cents per unit, and he's going to drive the price down from 50 cents per unit to 45 cents per unit once he starts buying 10,000 units. Whereas me, I come in and he's like, listen, if you buy 10,000 units, I'll help you out on the price. Instead of charging you 75 cents per unit, I'll charge you 72 cents per unit. Right? So I'm still paying almost a whole 30 cents per unit more. Right? Now, to get, or I'm sorry, 27 cents per unit more. But again, when you're looking at millions of dollars, things move in pennies. The major issue is we don't get to the scale where pennies matter, right? We start off with pennies. We start off with stuff like penny stocks. Oh, I'm day trading in the cash account. Why are you day trading in the cash account? You need a few more zeros for it to make any sense. If it doesn't have those zeros behind it, unfortunately, it doesn't make any sense because it's just sitting there alone, right? Now, yes, right now, I don't even think anybody's watching at the moment. That's totally fine. That also shows, well, number one, I did go randomly live, but that also shows what we as, and unfortunately, we as black men don't consider ourselves a monolith, which may be a major issue, right? To those that aren't us, we need to start looking at ourselves as a monolith. And then amongst ourselves, we don't look at ourselves as a monolith. I learned that from an Israeli real estate broker while I was doing real estate in New York in 2017. He said, you know, there's a couple of things that are terrible in the real estate world. He said, what? He said, an Israeli. I said, what else? He said, a broker. He said, now, as an Israeli broker, that's the absolute worst. Complex, what's up, brother?
Hey, yo, I'm back at the path, man. What's going on?
Chilling. So I was just kind of mentioning some of the things that I've realized that we're talking about, in front of the scenes. And what I've noticed is content like this, and especially places like the Black Brain Trust, we get very
Uh
low
huh.
engagement because we're not coming on talking these scraggly bitches, blah 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 blah. Right? Like shout out to
Let me.
no, go ahead.
No. Finish your thought, man. Because I'm gonna follow up on that. Go ahead.
So, shout out to regardless of how you feel about him, he's actually sent me some people who were quite lucrative in my business field. The brother Edward Anderson, he actually has a few different channels because the channel that he talks about business, the brothers don't go over there. They only go. You'll see 100 people in his live when he's talking about the scraggly bitches. But when he's talking about strategies to paper yourself up so you insulate yourself from these scraggly bitches, because that's what Kevin Samuels was always saying. I don't face these issues. I'm just mentioning them because I see a bunch of black men apparently having these issues. But I'm quote unquote high value. I don't have these issues, right? When he's not talking about the scraggly bitches, 4 people are watching. But I'll let you
Well,
piggyback. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and I might drop briefly here. I just left the house. I'm in the car now. Um, so give me a second here.
Okay, so while Complex gets set, I'll just keep going for a moment. So these conversations are, and I see why people probably stop because it's disheartening because it's like, almost nobody is ending up hearing your message, and the message could actually catapult us as a people forward very far. You know, I
Hey, do you hear me? Can you hear me
yeah, I
now?
hear you. Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, okay. So here's what I wanted to say to that, bro. Unfortunately, my old channel got knocked down, dude, and it was just more or less I was experimenting with some art shit, and I got a few copyrights, and that was the end of that, and I couldn't get the shit. They wouldn't bring it back, basically. So so now, like, the channel that I have, that my new one, it's really just I've made it all about just what I do, right? E-bikes, e-scooters, and shit like that, right? And so what happens here is that you get different people who then come to you. You get what I'm saying? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I hear you. I feel what you said.
Okay. Okay. So what happens here is that, like, let's just say you get out here and the only thing you talk about is fucking electric bikes or electric scooters or something. You know, what's gonna happen is that you're gonna get non-manosphere people, and what you're gonna get is you're gonna get people who have e-bikes and e-scooters that
Right.
want to know about something, right? So one of the things that I learned early on is that you have to stand on your content, and ultimately there are going to be those who find your content of value. They're going to gravitate to you. Now there is a whole thing about presentation and all that other shit, and that's very subjective, right? But fact of the matter is, when you bring up Edward and you say that, and I'm like, okay, well, if he has another channel, all he does is talk about business on that channel, then guess what? He's going to get people that are interested in business content. That's how that goes, right? Um, Now, I've always challenged the narrative that the Manosphere was all about uh, the black man's woes with women, right? I always challenge that narrative because if you were to ask me, the real challenge is this new paradigm that we're going to be entering into after this election. Now, this leads into this conversation that you were just having on the phone a little while ago. Zoe, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I'm letting you cook, bro.
Okay, okay. So this leads into this conversation we were just having a little while ago, about where things are headed, not just here on a national level, but on a global scale. After we finish this chop up, man, I got a few links I'm gonna send you about the brick stuff. I
I'm
got a
with
few
it.
links. Yeah, I got a few links I want to send you. It's some shit to soak up, dude. I mean, the shit is really in depth. One of the links I'm gonna send you. Fuck, you know what? I can't because I'm on my phone. I'm pretty sure people listening in are gonna want these links themselves, so they can check this out. So maybe at a later time you can post them. But these are
Yeah,
some
I'll post them to the
real,
community tab.
yeah, yeah. These are some real. Okay, cool, cool, cool. These are some real legit deep dives into what we're looking at here in terms of this new competing financial system. You know, um, you can see it reflected here, politics. Largely with the whole tariff and Chinese EV issue, e-bikes, e-scooters. Now you know better than anybody what we're dealing with over here, right? I would say you more than
Oh
anybody
yeah.
is intimately aware as to the goings ons that goes on with the personal electric vehicle sector here in California, and our challenges in trying to crack into that insurance market, right? The whole This is what I'm saying. It's a whole industrial shift taking place right now that's going on, and you know, um, it's a trickle down sort of situation. See, so you think electric bikes, electric vehicles, electric scooters. Okay, lithium ion batteries, and then you start going back up the chain, and then you start to see that you are intrinsically attached to everything that's going on right now between the East and the West, tariff wise, and all this shit. When they start talking about, you know, uh, tariff on lithium ion batteries and shit like that, that affects my bottom line. Okay. You know, shit, the cost of shipping, right? Whether it's by air or through sea, the fluctuation in that right there affects my bottom line, business wise, right? So there's a lot of things that I think going forward we need to, get engaged in, number one, and then number two, we have to expand our minds to the point where we're really dealing with this type of shit on a day to day. Because as you were telling me on the phone, right, you were saying something to the effect of like, one vehicle is compounded versus the other one, which is kind of like just kind of single, or just kind of, I forgot the
So
term that
simple
you gave it.
is simple interest versus compound interest. So
Right.
your
Okay.
things like your brokerage accounts are going to be simple interest,
Right.
where
Right.
a lot
Right.
of the insurances are compound.
Right. See, so what we have to do is we have to basically be in a compound interest state of mind with regards to all of our dealings going forward. We can no longer be in a simple interest state of mind. Does that make sense?
I
Because
totally agree.
that's what I extrapolated from our conversation earlier.
Well, so partially, right? So what we need is a combination of both, right? So that's why I was saying like the strategy. If you don't mind, I'll just we can talk it here as well. So part of that strategy
Go
is
ahead.
right. We leverage one, which is with the compound interest, and then the thing about the
Oh,
compound
well,
interest is that your rates of your return is not going to be extravagant. That's why everybody likes the products that have the
mhm.
simple interest, because the possibility or the potential for an extremely high
Right,
return, right?
right.
You can get, you can put in, 50 cents and get $1 billion. Obviously that, arbitrary numbers, but, whereas with a compound interest, you're going to have a cap, right? So
Hmm.
then, if I really delve deep into this, right? Because I really haven't had the opportunity, just because I haven't, I've been lazy. I haven't gone live and stuff, right? But if you look at
Don't worry
the
about it, man. Don't worry about it.
right, it's there's so even though they're fixed, they car rate is hey,
Hey, Zoe, I don't know if it's
yeah.
me, but you're kind of chopping up a little bit, bro. I don't know if that's me.
I'm on an elevator. Give me 1 second.
Okay, okay. All right, y'all. So just give Zoe a second. He's in the elevator, so I don't want to lose what he's gonna say, because we are kind of more or less just following up on a phone conversation a little bit, a little bit. Um,
Yeah, just a little bit.
yeah,
Can you hear me better now?
yeah. I can hear you, bro. Go ahead.
Okay. So, like I said, you're looking at like a cap rate and a par rate, right? So
Hmm.
most people, you'll hear that from Wall Street Trapper, and the shit sounds nice. But the reason it sounds nice is because most Americans, especially Black Americans, really don't know what the fuck that is, right? Um, but they just know that they hear rich people, and will watch, Mad Money with Jim Cramer, and he's always talking about par rates and cap rates and calls and puts and options and blah blah blah. So it sounds like, well, that's what the rich people are doing, and they are. So that's why we don't. It's like wheels on a car, right? You can't just have one wheel and think the vehicle is going to move forward. You need all four wheels, right? So we need simple interest, we need compound interest, but we also have to understand things like cap rates and par rates and what those are. And I'll be honest, especially from the insurance world, dude, these people do a horrible, horrible, horrible job. Most of them don't even understand it, right? So, like, I'll break it down to you like this, and this may actually kind of expound upon our conversation a little better to kind of help you, not just you, but anyone watching on live
Yeah,
or on
right.
the
This is for
replay.
those listening. Yeah, this is for
Yeah.
those listening. Yeah.
So, for example, there's a shit ton of people online. Oh, buy term insurance and invest the difference in a brokerage account, but they never mention the fact that when you start withdrawing from these brokerage accounts, those are taxable events, right? So again, the investment world works on something called FIFO. Are you familiar with the concept of FIFO? And
Wait,
it's
Zoe,
not
you dropped out there. Wait. Zoe, you dropped out there. You said you start withdrawing from these brokerage accounts and then you drop.
okay. So when you start withdrawing from these brokerage accounts, they create a taxable event. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now the difficulty is that generally they operate on a principle called FIFO, FIFO, which is first in, first out. So initially, your taxable event is not too terrible because it's coming from your invested principal. But at a certain point, and again, because it's only growing in simple interest, you're going to start hacking away at your gains. So now you have to take out 20% more to pay that 20% capital gains tax, right? So now when you start drawing down, you're looking at an increase in tax bracket. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so this is what Rob was talking about when he was like, "Yo, I don't want to deal with any of that taxable shit. I like tax free, right? So the thing that you give up with tax free is, the possibility for immense gains, right? You obviously you got to give up one thing to get another. So with the immense gains, you give up the possibility for not paying taxes, right? But that's in the
Right.
hopes that you get gains that will diminish the taxes or eat, or cushion the blow that you're going to end up giving up on taxes, right? Now, the reason I say a lot of these insurance guys, right? Like, I'll call them these IUL guys because you hear me talk about the IUL all the time. That's my favorite product. But these IUL guys do a freaking horrible job, number one, of understanding the product, right? So
Mm-hmm.
remember I mentioned cap rates and par rates. So a cap rate is that's the cap of the interest that you'll be credited. So there's a law called AG 49. Give me 1 second. Reckless Ray, what's up, brother?
What's up, man?
Doing all right, doing all right. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna let you
Going, bro.
have the floor in a second.
Okay.
Okay, so when you're looking at cap rates and par rates, Reckless Ray, I'm sure you're familiar with some of the terms I'm using, right?
Mhm.
Cap rates, par
Yes, sir.
rates. Okay. So when you're looking at cap rates and par rates, again, like I said, a lot of these IUL guys do a horrific, horrific job at actually, number one, even understanding the product, which is why I realize why a lot of the buy term invest in difference guys are able to demolish a lot of their ideas, because a lot of these agents, there's so many moving parts in these products that your average person probably shouldn't be, especially in an IUL, right? Like most of my clients who purchase an IUL from me, so first things first, IUL is not meant for the death benefit, right? And that's what the people are selling it. Oh, it's the end all be all, bro. An IUL is not what you want. If you're just looking to leave your wife and kids $1 million, maybe you do want to get a term policy, right? Because that's the cheapest way to just leave a death benefit. But life insurance is not just for a death benefit. That's the number one aspect of it, but that's not the only aspect. It's actually life event insurance, right? So, for example, I'll tell people all the time, listen, don't come to me if you're going to get a 529, right? And most people shouldn't even get a 529. But I'll tell them, listen, don't come to me, and I don't mean just me specifically, but to a financial advisor and have to pay advisory fees for a 529 college savings plan, which isn't even supposed to be a savings plan. You're supposed to put a lump sum, whatever Yale's tuition is right now, 400 grand. You put 400 grand in that 529 and leave it there for 18 years. And then while your kid is growing up, Yale is already paid for. Number one grinder. What's up, brother? So what most people should be in is something called a Coverdale, which is an education IRA. Substantially lower numbers, and different tax breaks. What is the gift tax this year? I think it's 14.5 still or something. I don't even know. Not that I don't know, just not off the top of my head can I think what the annual gift tax is. Complex?
So wait, hey, just real quick. You said what? I don't recall what that is, but I wanted to ask you about that. My daughter, she's 13, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think for her. If what I'm trying to do is really, she's kind of got an entrepreneurial mindset. So I got some things I'm going to be cooking up here. Beginning of the year for her, given that she turned 13, I told her we'll go ahead and get some business stuff started. However, given that she's really kind of tilted towards like the culinary arts, like Le Cordon Bleu, like that's something that's on the radar for her, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
That vehicle that you were just talking about,
The 529.
how do you leverage, or how does that sort of, how do you use something like that?
So number one, it's kind of late in the game at her age because you're looking at another 5 years before she's going to culinary, right? Unless you're pouring shit tons of money in there, it may be late in the game.
Business part. Well, I was gonna say that's kind of what the business part is about. I've already invested and bought her some, food making equipment and stuff like that, and I got some other things I'm gonna be getting here, and that's what. That whole virtual restaurant, the virtual kitchen stuff, right?
Yeah, like Mr. Beast burgers and stuff. Yeah.
It's something along those lines, because I had already got like some of the software stuff to go ahead and facilitate that. So it's kind of like just to tie it all together. But really, man, this is all for her, right?
Yeah.
And I figure this vehicle that you're talking about, it works much in the same manner. I'm just okay. Well, even if I do this, maybe I'm taking proceeds or portions of that and pouring into that.
Oh yeah, you could do that, but now here's the difficulty with things like 529s and Coverdales, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are looked at. Those will affect your ability for things like scholarships or grants, so on and so forth, because it's looked at as a form of income. And this is why the wealthy leverage life insurance, right? Because life insurance doesn't interfere with any of that. But before I keep going, let me let Reckless Ray and Number One Grinder speak a little bit. Ray, what's up, brother?
Dude, nothing. I haven't seen you in forever, so I was like, oh, you live stream? I was like, I'm a tap in. You guys are talking about money, and I just got done recording, so I was like, I'll hang out with you guys while I'm doing my thumbnails and my uploads.
That's definitely cool.
Doing good. I like, one of the things that I'm realizing is most of these people don't tell the truth, and like, me personally, like a lot of the stuff, like there's a lot of stuff where people just don't give receipts. And I'm like realizing, because like I gotten into high yield dividends, because obviously me being a degenerate gambler, coming from the crypto space, I'm like, oh, you're telling me I can make money without like losing it all tomorrow? So I've been doing that, and it's just like, people have an opinion on stuff that they don't understand to the tune to where it's borderline insane to me. The conversations that people have in the financial spaces, because I'm like, this is literally just math. Like, there's no argument about, no one cares how you feel. It's about efficacy and efficiency. Those are only two things that matter.
Absolutely.
So, what's the argument? What's the argument that they're giving? Just out of curiosity.
So for high yield dividends, so like most people who get into dividend investing, they go buy a stock, right? And so you'll buy a stock and the stock pays a dividend and people are like, yo, this is dope. But the goal there is the growth and the dividend. So both are generally mediocre. But,
Yes.
you know, if you're going to do it for a long time and you're planning on retiring when you're 60, it's cool. It's what you do. Like, I mean, it's not that it's like a bad strategy. It's just a strategy. It's a tool. So they have new products now that are high yield dividend investment ETFs where they'll track a single stock and they're doing options, either synthetic or covered call options. It depends. They do both, but they're actually playing the market. Kind of like when he referenced Wall Street Trapper, it's a hedge fund doing that for you. And you collect a check every
So question, because so maybe during like the pandemic and stuff, because this is, I'm glad you're saying this, dude. Because when I was on the phone with Zoe earlier, I was telling them about
we were talking about this same stuff.
Yeah, we were literally just on the phone talking about this, right? And so I was telling them about how during that time, during the pandemic, people were like working from their homes and all that, and it was real easy to like get the Robinhood app, put it on your phone. And you can kind of be like some sort of fucking like quasi day trader. I bought like a pieces of ETFs. I cannot recall at the moment who they were, but see, here's the thing. What you just said, like, people don't break down like the variances of what goes on with say for example an ETF, and what you just said. I'm for the life of me, I'm not even going to try to repeat what you just said.
High dividend ETF.
You made a point though, when it's sort of like, you just, because here's what they do. They market to you, just say, oh, well, you just buy into this ETF. It's like a basket, right? Yeah. And it's supposed to be kind of, maybe say like a more of a safer route to kind of throw into a collection of things. But even in that basket, or like, let's just say that segment of investment, they still don't even understand that there's like those intricacies that you just spoke about.
Well, it's the thing that I've noticed, and I like me and Alonzo have gone back and forth on stuff, and I like debating him about things just because like he's very smart and he's like very good at substantiating his point. But a lot of your gurus, bro, like they're set the intent, and it's the thing that I've realized, and it's part of the reason that like the content that I put out really doesn't track well, because everyone's telling you basically that you're working till you're 65 or 70. Like, they're not trying to get you out of the system. They want you to have hope to continue working in the system. They're going, you're going to grind your body down until you're 65, and then you can take a break if you want to. And then you can die. Look at what the main gurus are telling you.
Yeah.
You're 65. You can do this. Oh, yeah. Well, you can go invest in SCHD. And it's about income. Like, technically speaking, so I come from the crypto space. So I've been in crypto for over 11 years now. So that's where the majority of my wealth is. And so like most of the stuff that I do, I'm like, yo, like when I talk about tracking my journey to be a millionaire, it has nothing to do with my 401k or my house. That's nothing in comparison to my, like what my wealth actually is. Those two chunks of money are nothing. Like they don't matter.
Just hold on 1 second. Zoe, what the hell was I telling you on the phone, dude?
You were definitely saying a lot of the same stuff. You were talking about the XRP.
Dude, hey, listen, man, you know what? I don't want to say, there's something I want to say out in the open to you and ask you about. Wait. Okay, I'm sorry, man, because God damn it.
Hold on. You see this Series 65? So that's what Ray. So this is what a lot of financial gurus don't have this licensure. I don't carry this license either, but I actually, and that's because if I did carry the license, I couldn't be on here talking. Right. Because they put the kibosh on me. But I study this shit religiously. So that's why, Ray, I have kind of a semblance of what I'm talking about. I want to get back to the point that I was getting at, especially like I said, I'm an insurance guy, right? So my issue is that you've got a lot of people pro or con CBLI, and we'll get to that. But let me let number one grinder speak really quickly.
Oh, sorry.
Good afternoon, everybody in the chat.
Good afternoon.
Me being a
Peace.
58-year-old black man, right? And let me say this: that talk about investments as insurance. I find out throughout the years that we are very misinformed. We always go for the first opinion and we take and run with it instead of like we go to Brother Alonzo and your brothers to get the right knowledge and the way how to go about it. And that's why sometimes there are some businesses that average black man like myself and others, we don't do our own homework. And then at the same time, we don't take our time to understand it's a process. We refuse to go through the journey because we want everything fast to understand that to be on panels is good. Because like I know Brother Alonso for a while now. So I'm not trying to be like I know everything. So whatever I know, Brother Alonso, y'all on my channel, I pass it on. And I think that's what we have to do. See, because the only way we could grow generation wealth, we have to understand. Sometimes some of us we have to start from the basics and work our way up. And we got to do our due diligence, and it's got to be consistently. So I'm saying for me, for being part of the panel, I am very, very honored. But at the same time, I still want to learn. I still want to make one because we got to understand there are still some legislation and some laws still not coming towards our way as black men, especially we trying to build up our businesses. And we have to understand the loopholes. We have to understand what your brothers is talking about. And we have to like have constant conversation. That's what I'm at. Constant conversation. And this is I'm very humble and very appreciative of it.
Nice. I would
Anytime,
say,
brother.
Can I add? I'd like to add on one thing. You got to have constant conversation and constant action. Like, I mean, I've been on this journey since I was 16. I'm a decade younger than you. I'm 40, but I talked for a long time and didn't do anything. And it didn't help any.
Well, talk is supposed to precede action, right?
Yes.
I'm a
yes.
very
but the follow up doesn't always happen though. A lot of people get stuck in that mental. I know it's circle jerk. You know what I'm saying?
Well, but here's the thing, right? So now let's Zoe. Do you mind if I kind of just kind of relay what our past history is?
Please do. Yeah, definitely. Okay. And then once you finish, I want to let Aaron speak for a minute, and then I'll get back to my point.
Okay, so I'm in the micromobility sector in the IoT tech sector, right? So I do e-bikes, e-scooters, all of the software, the integration, like the whole thing, right? Even we even got like the logistics and delivery last mile software developed that's integrated into everything, right? And so about 2 years ago, we got the permit here. I'm over in Central Valley, California, right? And we got the permit to do a rideshare fleet, public rideshare fleet, where we just stick the stuff out in the streets. I hit Zoe up because we were trying to secure the insurance for that. It was $1 million policy.
Oh, wow.
Zoe?
Yeah, so, and that was on the property and casualty end. So I also did used to do property and casualty, not just like health and accidental. So I kind of understand aspects of a lot of the insurance world. And one of the things that we ran up against was getting the insurance. And this is kind of also what prompted this live because and Complex was there for it. So we were trying to have a discussion with Lloyd's of London, and they asked me two questions. They said, "Excuse me, Alonzo, have you made $1 million in commissions from selling this insurance yet? I was like, no. Did you make $500,000? And this isn't aggregate. This is in 1 year. They were like, have you made $1 million in 1 year selling this insurance? No. Have you made $500,000 in 1 year selling this insurance? No. Click.
Hey, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, come back when you have a $2 million book of business.
Yeah.
That was basically their message to us.
Dang.
Yeah. So
No, we were on the
there's
hunt
a
for
lot
3
of stuff
months.
that's
Like
there.
about 3-4 months, we were on the hunt for that shit, man.
Yeah, we even called the actual insurer of one of his competitors, and they were like, "No,
Dude,
we don't know what you're
we
talking
called
about."
We're like, we know you're insuring them, and be like, nah, bro.
Like they're literally on his competitor's website. We are the insurance company that insures this, and I call and I'm like, "Hey, so you guys insure them?" No, we don't. What are you talking, bro? I'm looking at the website. Nah, that's not us. Maybe that's somebody else.
You know,
It is
Go ahead.
wild.
So
Wait.
real brief, number one ground. I'm gonna let you get back to it, but I want to let Aaron Woodard speak. I think I muted you. Let me unmute you, brother. Aaron, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Is he there?
Or, yeah, Aaron, you there? Going once,
Uh-oh.
going twice.
Oh no.
Do you do that there?
Sold. All right, go ahead. We'll let you get back in a moment.
All right.
I guess he's going. Number one grinder. What's up, brother?
No, what I was saying when you was talking about it, I was in the chat when you had that. And I don't know that was the same conversation you had, but I remember you told him to look up and told me, "Are you insured?" And the guy's and so again, you got to be educated. You got to know what you do because I always say this. You gotta deal with the experts. If you don't know, ask questions and do the homework. And like one of the brothers, I don't know who said, but you gotta have action. You like Queen Cocatina said, you gotta be dedicated for it. And that is the problem right there. If you don't know, it's fine. You don't know. So when you listen,
you don't know what you don't know till you know you don't know it.
You don't know it. Right,
Well,
Brother Alonzo? Tell him. Brother Alonzo, I don't know. Educate me.
You do that often, bro. You be like, "Hey, if I'm right or I'm wrong."
But I think what the brother Reckless was saying is that because I think I kind of maybe follow the same philosophy. When you started doing things for so long, like you bump your head enough to a point where you know that you act on something once you got something, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's really what he was getting at because I'm there too. I'm kind of like once you have I'm good with data acquisition. I listen to a lot of news stuff. That was why we got on the phone, dude. I mean, I was telling you about all the brick stuff and all of that. That's why Reckless. I'm curious about the whole XRP move at this stage of the game. I'll leave it there. If you're familiar, right?
Oh yeah. Well,
Clear,
Go ahead,
and all
Reckless.
that.
I mean, so with XRP, it's actually
Wait, before you continue, Reckless, I'm also going to be leaning on you because I'm not a heavy believer in digital currency personally. Again, everybody has their own financial strategy. There's no one size fits all,
Thank you.
which is what pisses me off about a lot of these financial gurus. But I will be leaning on you for some of my digital currency understanding.
But let's do this too. Also, disclaimer: anything that you hear on this live stream is not to be taken as financial investment advice.
Right.
Please go to certified CFP.org.
CFP board, yeah.
Okay, got to get the disclaimer out. Go ahead, bro. Got to get the disclaimer out. Got to do
it. The gist of it is, and like I'll give you a quick synopsis of my background.
Okay.
I've been in the cryptocurrency space since 20 into 2012, beginning of 2013.
Mm-hmm.
I started off mining Bitcoin. So I started off high technical. Like we were building mining computers
Like
at a
building
house.
rigs.
Yeah, we were building
Okay.
rigs back when you could do that at home. And it was a
Yep.
project that I just lacklusterly got into because of a roommate of mine that was like, hey, can you build this for me? And that's what I used to spend my tax return on. I didn't buy rims. I was a nerd, so I bought computers and built them. Like, that was my thing. Every time tax return came around, threw together a new gaming rig, and like that's what I did. Well, that year I built the Bitcoin mining rig, and the rest is kind of history. Like, I bumped my head, I've lost money. I was in a Patreon group with Alonzo and lost what? I lost $67,000 in 2 weeks and made money that year. Like,
I think I remember that.
There was like, yo, that $67,000 got wiped. And then as a part of that, because of all the stuff that was collateral of that, I ended up with like $2,000 that got stuck on an exchange for 2.5 years, and I only got like 700 of it back. But like that year I made a lot of money. But like that's how, so like the way that I look at money and the way that I gauge risk, like when I say that by everyone's normal terms I'm a degenerate, is like I can watch $67,000 get wiped and I will feel bad, but I will still function through it. And I'll be like, cool.
So you have a high risk tolerance.
Yes.
Right.
Which is something that a lot of these financial gurus don't talk about.
Well, that's because the issue is it's telling the truth. It's like, would you jump off your roof if you lost your salary? Then you probably don't belong in like, that's not for you. And even still, like when I talk to people now from that perspective with my portfolio that I have now, because I do portfolio updates every week on my crypto portfolio. And I tell people all the time when they're like, yo, like, what about this? And like, what about this? I'm like, well, the thing you got to understand is I don't have to get rich in 2 weeks no more. Like, I know for a fact that within 6 years, I'll be a millionaire with what I've got. Like, I can't, all I got to do is not fuck it up. Like, I know the trajectory I'm on. I'm able to project this portfolio out. The part of the portfolio that I trade is less than 50% of it. And the other 50%, like, there's an intent for why I'm active in the market and how I go about that. So I'm not going and swinging for the fences per se, because one of the things that happens regularly in the cryptocurrency space, and you're going to see it this year because we're in a bull cycle for Bitcoin. Going through 2025, you're about to watch a bunch of people walk past 300% gains to try to get a 50,000% gain and walk away with nothing. That's what's about to happen.
Okay.
So with the XRP thing, XRP is not a holding that I personally have. So we're going to start with that caveat. But I've been around since when they launched. They're a banker coin. They're trying to keep the old system relevant. And it's actually being used. It's being used outside of the US. All the lawsuits, the whole time that the lawsuits were going on in the United States, they've been doing work outside of the United States. They're actually being used on the back end of banks. Their aim is to replace Swift. Because Swift sucks. It takes forever and it's slow. So they're trying to update that. Is it actually being used? Yes. Do they have a bunch of negative press in the United States? Yes. But crypto is not United States specific. If the United States banned Bitcoin tomorrow, it would not do anything but make the price go up.
Okay. So, wait, finish that thought. So I got something to ask you.
So one of the key things that you got to understand, and it's like when me and Alonzo, like our first interaction was very abrasive for my side of things. Because I am a financial anarchist. Like I like all this stuff. Like I understand that there are certain things that are a hindrance to our culture, and I solve for problems. So the reason I'm in crypto and the reason I went headlong into crypto, like I cashed out my 401k, I cashed out all my shit to be in this space because it's an FU to the market. It's a vote of non-confidence, in my opinion. I believe that is real revolution because I can leave this country and no matter where I land, I can take a thumb drive and I will be rich. So from that perspective, the reason that most of us that are in crypto are diehard and very defensive about our space is because we're not controlled. It's a trustless system. Nobody asks about my race in crypto when I'm transacting. No one cares. It's not something where you can pinpoint somebody out and be like, I'm not going to do business with that person. That's the importance of it. So I keep my conversations isolated into the Bitcoin space and the Ethereum space, because those are the stalwarts. XRP is another one for a back end for the banking side of things, but governments, institutions, hedge funds, pension funds are all going to be reliant on Bitcoin to save them. MicroStrategy currently on the S&P is outperformed every stock on the S&P 500. So is Bitcoin. The one thing that MicroStrategy did,
once again, this is not to be taken as
financial advice. But the charts are out there. You can go on TradingView and you can see these things. Like, there's nothing since Bitcoin's come into existence, there isn't a single asset or piece of property or any other tool in existence that's outperformed it. Period. Like, if you're not getting 30% a year, you're not outperforming Bitcoin's.
Are these gains realized though?
Huh?
Are these gains actually being realized? And then is it similar to the industry that you've jumped out of? Which I understand why there's a vote of zero confidence in the what I call mail, pail, and stale industry, right? Because again, just like I was saying, a lot of these financial gurus don't talk about risk tolerance, time horizon, or exit strategy, right? So eventually there's going to be a point in time where, you know, I'm tired of playing the game. I want to actually sit back in Monaco, you know, watch the you know, some F1 racing and see that AMG one beat the pants off of the Porsche.
You goddamn right.
Wait.
Right.
Hey, you know I'm a Mercedes guy.
I caught that.
You know I'm a Mercedes guy, buddy.
I caught that.
And I've had that conversation, and that's one of the things that it's a cultural thing. We look at money wrong.
Okay.
So this is why, and this is the standpoint that I look at it at. Since I've been in Bitcoin, and I've been in Bitcoin for all but the first 3 years, every year, everything gets cheaper in Bitcoin. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
My down payment that I put for the property that I own came from Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
The clearing of my debt the first time around, all my consumer debt, came from Bitcoin. That was a $30,000 hit that I'd accrued. I made a mess. Paying off my car came from Bitcoin. And I'll tell you this, those were the worst decisions I ever made, because now those payoffs were exponentially more expensive because everything is constantly getting cheaper in Bitcoin. Now, what I do is I spend cheap dollars. You can buy less of everything with dollars. Within the last 5 years, you can buy less of everything.
Yeah.
I spend dollars. I do not spend Bitcoin unless I have to. Like, I honestly, like, so the way that I look at it is different, because I go, why would you spend something that no matter, like, if you hold it indefinitely, stuff just continues to get cheaper.
Right. So that's the TVM, time value of money, right?
The other thing that we don't do culturally is we have an inaccurate understanding of how debt works. So when I did use my Bitcoin, I'll tell you how I use my Bitcoin. So you used to be able to do this. You can't currently do it, but they're going to bring it back eventually after the banks sort out how they're going to get their cut. But you used to be able to leverage your Bitcoin. So when I paid off all that debt, that was a non-taxable event. And I paid it back with DeFi money. I made so get this. The play was, when I did my down payment, I pulled out $40,000 off my Bitcoin that I was holding at the time. Tax-free. In two $20,000 chunks into my bank. Made real money out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Paid off the stuff that I needed to pay off. Got my down payment for my house. Paid my car off. And I paid it back with the money that I was making in the DeFi space. That was just magic internet money. So, like, I took something that wasn't real, took a loan against it as far as the financial apparatus is concerned, took a loan against that, and then use other not real money to pay it back.
This is not
well, you can't even do it anymore. It's not investment.
Like you can't even do it now. Yeah, now you're gonna pay capital gains.
Don't get any bright ideas.
The thing that we don't understand as a culture, though, and I'm only telling it as a story. It's like not really a flex for me. It's just something that you do. That's how wealthy people stay wealthy. Because like you were talking about when you got to pay out of your brokerage account, and you move money out of your brokerage account, it's a taxable event. It's not if you borrow the margin. It's a loan.
Well, yeah, that becomes a loan, right?
So if
but how many people have at least 25,000 for margin?
You don't have to. My account that I have right now,
you can borrow up to 4 times.
Well,
holy shit!
My account right now, that's an income producing account that's high volatile that you're going to get the lowest margin you can get, has $20,000 in it. I have access at any given time to about between $7,000 and $10,000, depending on what assets I have sitting in there. And I can touch that now. And out of Charles Schwab, this does work. I'd use it. You can pull out. You can actually pull on the margin, and they will send it to your bank account. I accidentally screwed up a transfer, verified that it worked. But yeah, the tools. So my deal is, I understand that there's like certain aspects of the game that are rigged against us, but like they're also teaching poor and middle class people the tools themselves as the problem. Like when they tell you with the Dave Ramsey plan, don't use debt.
No, the 4%.
You will never get rich like that. Ever.
Yeah.
You can manage finances, but in this space right now, imagine this. You pick out a house on Zillow right now and start saving up cash for it right now. You won't be able to buy that house next year.
You won't be able to buy that house in the next 10 years.
100%. So you'll never get the house you wanted. You might be able to save up to where you can get a house, but the one you wanted, you will never catch that house saving cash.
Exactly.
Because it's constantly going down in buying power.
And you know,
well, that's funny. Go ahead.
I was going to say, no, it's funny that you mentioned that, dude, because so like I'll just kind of give you a little bit more insight into my situation. Again, you know, I'm an e-bike, e-scooter operator, developer, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
What I am is I'm asset heavy, like batteries, lithium ion batteries, right? I have factories, right? I'm responsible for all the, you know, for specific manufacturers who have their stuff warehoused, let's just say in the all of the large industrial warehouses like down in Southern California and stuff. So like for a few of those companies, I'm responsible for all their shit here in North America, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I'm like asset heavy. So when you say, okay, in terms of you know, okay, I guess the point is that when you mentioned debt, right? Because see, I'm not really we're not debt laden like that. Everything is, again, it's like literally physical shit that you can hold that's already been paid for.
Right.
What you then have to do is then move that in terms of liquidation onto the consumer or onto, say, like another business, for example, in order for you to realize that as in some sort of like profit, and where it's liquid and it's in the bank, right? Because you took what was in the bank out to get this, right? And now you hold that, but then that has more value than what you pay for it. But the thing is, you have to liquidate it out to realize that, right?
Right.
So it's like in this type of scenario, you have to be doing like huge fucking volume or some rather, or something like that. And so this is where kind of Zoe understands kind of like the nature of what I do, right? Because we were trying to secure some insurance shit, right? Like sort of like the non-physical aspect of this burgeoning market, right? But to speak to your point about yourself, that is the absolute fucking truth. That is the thing that I've learned trying to be like zero-based budget for all the time in my life. And dude, you say how old are you?
40.
40. I'm 47, dude. So we're kind of in this sort of same space where we've kind of we cut our teeth here. If you're in the 40s, you've cut your teeth. Yeah, you've cut your fucking teeth at this point, right? And largely, I've always done things on that model of like, dude, no debt, no debt, no debt, no debt.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to look at the people who like scale up like hella quick,
yep,
do they leverage that, bro? Like, there's no other fucking way around it. You know what I'm saying?
There's a risk in doing it ignorantly too. I mean, it's a
fucking
it's a
yes,
tool.
there is.
It's a tool, and if you use the tool wrong, then it's just like that's the cautionary tale that they always tell.
So reckless. I want to actually pull back to what you were talking about leveraging debt, right? So, like I said, when I'm looking at these gurus, I want to kind of scale back to insurance and kind of the cap rates and par rates and things, because a lot of what you're talking about, ironically enough, is in insurance. So, for number one, like I was saying, the term insurance is pure death benefit protection. All life insurance multiplies your money. The moment you give the insurance company $1, your dollar turns into $1 million. Arbitrary numbers. But I'm just giving a hypothetical here. You give. By the way, did you know Mass Mutual had purchased a few years ago? I think it was 2018 or 19, $100 million in BTC.
What? Oh, yeah.
You told me that on the phone.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So now, one of the things is, yes, term insurance is for the 1%, because even if you go to like termlifenow.com, they'll tell you about insurance companies can expect to pay about 1 out of every 100 term policy death claims. So term insurance is literally a 1% thing if you want your family to benefit from it. But let's look at whole life insurance, because a lot of guys who are, like I said, that's not my favorite product, but I think a lot of guys who sell it they're pushing product and they don't know quite what they have, right? So, for example, there's so many different types of whole life. And actually, me and Ra had a conversation behind the scenes that I'm not even going to get into as deep as I could, but let's just look at whole life really quick, right? So you have what's called participating and non-participating whole life. So Ray, how you were talking about dividends, life insurance, if it's participating, pays dividends. Ironically enough, the 2 highest dividend paying insurance companies right now, one I mentioned is Mass Mutual, the other is Lincoln Financial Group. They pay an 8% dividend, right? And so you said, Dan?
I said, yeah, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And remind you, this is a guaranteed product, right? So it's fixed, right? So there's no volatility. And the thing about whole life insurance is they've actually been paying a dividend for over 200 years consistently. The only other closest thing is Black & Decker, DuPont, and Coca-Cola that have been paying a dividend for 150 years, respectively, right? But life insurance has been paying a dividend nonstop every year since like 1787. Right. So, when you're looking at dividends, yes, you're going to give up some of that possibility for return, but life insurance isn't for return, it's for leverage. Right. And again, one of the things you were mentioning was debt and how we as a community are miseducated or undereducated about how to properly use it, right? I won't say I'll just say undereducated. Right. So we don't understand that, because let me ask you this, both of you guys, all right? What do you think when I sit down and speak to someone who looks like us, and they're like, oh, and I'll say, hey, what did you sit down with me for? And they're like, oh, because I want to get that whole life insurance because I heard. What do you think they tell me they want to get whole life insurance for?
Because you can use it as like a debt tool for in-home banking.
Okay, that's actually a big one now that people are using.
Yeah, I was like, that was my reference point.
No, I was honestly, dude. I was gonna. Well, Zoe, you know me, a reckless. This is the first time we spoke. I'm actually a widowed single father. Right, I have a daughter. I lost my wife going on 10 years ago.
I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah, apologies.
Oh no, we're good. Hey, we're good. We're good, fam, and I appreciate that. But if you were to ask me, I guess the first thing that I think is like literally what's taking place for me, right? Uh, so that I'll just be 100% real. If you ask that question, though, like because of literally like life circumstances, that's the first thing I think.
Okay. That's actually, like I said, that's the number one purpose. And I don't care what type of policy, even though I just said IUL is not, it's not intended for the death benefit, but the beauty is there is a death benefit attached to it.
Mhm.
But when I speak to most people from our community, they're like, oh, I heard I could borrow from that life insurance, right? Now, why would you borrow from your life insurance when you can borrow against your
Yep.
life insurance? Right? So you can actually use it as leverage, and you can actually use it as, so there's something called a collateral assignment,
Mhm.
right? And now I'm giving away stuff that I charge people for free, but fuck it.
Well, just kind of be careful with that. And Zoe, I'm gonna mute because I gotta get my daughter from cheerleading practice, but I'm gonna be listening
Yes,
in.
sir.
Just give me a minute, okay?
No problem. So there's something called a collateral assignment, and you can actually use your life insurance as collateral. There's a lot of caveats to that, and again, this is not financial advice. Please schedule a consult with me if you want personalized financial advice, or sit with your financial advisor.
Mhm.
And this is not tax advice or legal advice. There's a disclaimer. But these are some of the things that exist that we as a community are not familiar with. I
Mhm.
heard I could borrow from that whole life. Well, yeah, but it's going to take a long time, which again is where the buy term invest the difference people come in, swoop in, and then they kill the whole life guy because the whole life guy doesn't know. And please do this, Reckless Ray
Yeah.
and Complex and anybody else who's watching. When you go online and you hear these people, and this is just for whole life insurance, this isn't for the IUL, and
Mhm.
these guys are infinite banking, infinite banking. Ask them this: how do insurance companies get their cash value for the whole life policies? I'm going to give you the answer, but just remember to ask that question. Okay. Now, before I answer that question, Reckless, do you have any thoughts on how they do that?
On how you build your policy up to the cash
No, how
value in
the
it.
insurance company builds up your cash value and is able to give you dividends.
And okay, so from what I know, and this is only because most people really don't really dive, like I listen to financial content all day, so I'm like constantly bringing in ideas and stuff. So I know that there's one where they do like a call option on the S&P 500 at the beginning of the year, and then they collect the premiums off of it throughout the year or whatever, and that's supposed to be one way that they do it. The other way is like you overfund it to get some cash value in there faster.
Right. So
I don't know
that's
what the
how.
insurance company does outside of the call option strategy.
Yeah. So the insurance company initially invests heavily in the bond market, right?
Mm,
So that bond market, they get anywhere from 4 to 12% return,
mm,
right? And here's where a lot of people will say premium. A lot of the premium is from term policies. So there's a Penn State University study that was conducted in 1993, and it's not changed since. Nobody's come and debunked these numbers, that says 1% of term life insurance policies pay out. Diving deeper, it says 45% of term life insurance policies are terminated within the first 2 years. So that's free money the insurance company is getting,
mm,
right? And then I think it's like another 26% are terminated within the first 5 years, right? And term insurance is supposed to go for 30 years, but
yep,
most people cancel it within the first 2 to 5 years anyway,
yep.
right? They either lapse or cancel it, right? You miss one payment, that's all, that's it.
Mm,
Whereas with permanent insurance, again, they invest heavily in the bond market. And this is only with participating because there are non participating whole life policies. And then it gets even deeper than that when you're looking at whole life because most carriers are going to have a multitude of types of whole life policies, and not all of them are created the same, right? Just like, for example, in an ETF, you might have an access to growth and a value version of the same index or
mm,
ETF, right? because one is for high growth, one is for high yield, and one is just so you can feel good and say, "Hey, I'm investing with Charles Schwab."
Yeah.
Right? I'm just using Schwab as because that's the first one. Yeah, I'm invested with Merrill Lynch or whoever.
Yep.
But so and it'll all still be like Vanguard Pace Fund, but it's still there's 1, 2, 3 versions of it. So it's the same thing with whole life insurance, right? So ask these guys, hey, how do and I promise you, most of them will have the same answer you had, Ray, but you're not licensed, right?
Yeah.
Even though you watch financial information, you are not expected to know this shit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you're expected to know this shit when you're talking to me, not me specifically, but me, an insurance salesperson. Hey, yeah, da 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 da. I'm selling you this. Fast talking, right? Because I stand to get 50% of what you pay into it for the first year, right? So I want you to quote unquote infinite bank, right?
Yeah.
Most agents don't even understand how infinite banking is done, right? So there are things called riders. Riders are like an aftermarket part on a car, right? Now, here's why I prefer the IUL over traditional whole life. And it's literally because of flexibility of death benefit and premium. So the second thing you mentioned about stock options is how so IULs do not pay dividends, right?
Yeah.
So how do they get their credit their interest credited to those policies? And again, like you said, they buy the option, right? So if the option accretes, which you understand what that means, but the general public probably doesn't, accrete means goes up, right? If the option accretes, then they take a portion of that and they share that interest with you to whatever your cap rate is. So the most popular allocation strategy with IULs is into the S&P 500. But did you know that, for example, Prudential has a NASDAQ where they invest in the Magnificent Seven, right? And so you can allocate it there, right? But again, your cap, and see, here's something that, again, a lot of agents don't understand. So there's a law called AG 49, right? Because a lot of unscrupulous agents were coming up here and saying, you can get a bazillion % on your IUL. Don't buy whole life. Don't buy term life. Don't buy a brokerage account, blah, 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 blah. And they were beating people in the head because you're not going to get those astronomical percentages. Now, will the IUL properly structured and properly overfunded likely outperform a lot of the indices that it's reflecting? Yes, because it's compound interest, not simple interest. And so for the simple fact that it's compound interest automatically beats simple interest, because if you get, interest on top of what you've grown, if I get 10% interest and then I put in 100 grand and then I get 10 grand, now I'm getting 10% off of 110 grand instead of just 10% off of 10 grand. But AG 49 was so that the insurance industry did not demolish the securities industry, right? So when we illustrate these IULs, we can only legally illustrate up to, I believe it's 5%. But for example, there's a carrier that I use called Emeritus that has a 5.7% cap rate illustrated, but you're going to actually realize 9.71%.
Oh, wow.
I just legally can't tell you that, so I didn't tell you that. And
I like it. Like, you didn't hear that from me.
Yeah. Okay. Legally, and we can't show that to you, right? But yeah, you said, "Oh wow," right? Because that's damn near 10%, right? Now, here's the major issue, right? Because again, ask these IUL guys, hey, how does the IUL build its cash value or build its interest to me? And now that you know the answer, it's through the purchase of options. If the option accretes, then they share it with you. And if the option should fail, they just let it fall off. But again, they've not taken any of that money from your premiums. That money has come from those bonds that they've invested in. right? So they invest in the bonds. They get 4 to 12, again, between 4 to 12%, not astronomical unless you're closer to the 12% side. So let's say on average it's 8%, right? They might take, 4%. Cute cat. I have two of them. They might take 4%, and they'll put that in their own coffers. And then, the other 4%, they're going to take 2% of that and pay that as a dividend to their participating whole life. The other 2%, they're going to take that and they're going to, buy options. So none of your money is at risk here, right? Now, we also have to look at the allocation strategy. So most agents, they set it and forget it, right? Which again is why people like you have lost their confidence in the male, pale, and stale industry, right? The reason I call it male, pale, and stale is because 71% of financial advisors are white males, and the average financial advisor is age 60.
Yep.
Okay, so it's male, pale, and stale, right? It's 71% white male, so male, pale, and then stale because most of them are 60 plus, right? Guys like us in our 40s, dude, my aspirations are a hedge fund. So on Wall Street. I'm sipping Similac still, and my first office was 100 Broadway. I actually did do a short stint as a stockbroker with a firm called EJ Sterling. Don't look them up; they have terrible press. I wasn't with them for long. They have all kinds of complaints, all kinds of everything, but all stockbrokerage firms do, to be honest, because people go and then they do unsolicited trades, and I'm going to take the trade. You're still going to pay me a commission, and then you're going to lose your money and be like, this guy didn't tell me not to do it. Well, it's an unsolicited trade. You were the guy who said, hey, I want to invest in. We were pushing what were we pushing? IMAX before the Desolation of Smog trilogy and Iron Man 3 came out. We were pushing Green Mountain Coffee. I can't remember what else we were pushing, but we were pushing some pretty cool stuff at the time. Give me 1 second. Let me let Complex up.
Okay.
So now here's what the major issue is.
Sorry about that.
Oh,
That's all good, brother. Hey, listen, you're doing daddy duties, brother. I'm not, I eventually want to be able to do that. So, I'm jealous of you right now. But fucking a lot of these agents don't, again, understand how the product, which is why they need, I understand why they need their securities license, or at least some experience with securities, right? Because the first allocation is to the S&P 500 1-year point to point. Right, so that's where we're talking about cap rates and par rates, right? So the S&P 500 1-year point to point, like I said, we're going to, and you'll hear a lot of agents say, "Oh, well, the IUL is terrible because the insurance company can change that interest rate at any point." Yes, they can, but during your 1-year point to point, they can't change that. So what does that 1-year point to point mean? That means if you put $1,000 a month in this IUL January 1, 2024, you're going to get the interest credited from point A, January 1, 2024 to January, technically 2, 2025. And then the highest interest rate up to your cap rate is going to be credited to you. Now, we illustrate your cap rate, like I said, at 5%, but you're really going to realize, again, I didn't say this, likely 9%, right? Now, the job then requires annual reviews because you have to reallocate. Most agents just do, and again, we're 100% commission, so we're not really worried about servicing our book because I still got to, pay my mortgage, right? So I'm looking for the next guy. It's just like your real estate agent. He sells you the house, and then he's gone, and he's not checking up on you to make sure you're making your mortgage payments. Now, there's also things like the sector rotator, right? So the sector rotator is not capped, but it has 167% par rate, right? So most of the indices are going to be capped, right? So, for example, like I said, Prudential has the NASDAQ. Lincoln Financial Group actually, Fidelity created an entire index solely for Lincoln Financial Group to have their index universal life insurance. I can't remember what the index is called. Or don't ask me, because if you put a gun to my head, you blow my brains out. I can't think of it. Um, but then there's like the S&P 500. There's the Russell 2000. There's the BNP, which is the Barclays. There's the Morgan Stanley International. Those are your major ones, right? Then you'll have like the S&P 2-year point to point. So same premise as the 1-year point to point, but for 2 years. That'll be credited at like a 24% interest, right? But again, that's over the course of 2 years, right? And again, these are going to have cap rates. So a cap rate means, listen, if the S&P 500 should skyrocket 20%, you're capped at 5%. But the beauty is zero is your hero. Because the market goes up and down, right? People will say, well, what is the market going to do? It always goes up. Well, if it always goes up, that means it always also does what? Goes down. So it's not participating in the market. So when it goes down, like it inevitably will, you remain flat. Obviously you gain zero. But would you rather gain zero or participate in the losses? Again, someone like yourself, Ray, you have the risk tolerance. You may want to participate in those losses. Now, here's the difference. You're 40 now. So you may not want to participate in those losses because you might not have that time horizon. Again, we haven't had that conversation, so I don't know what your risk tolerance and time horizon is. But from what you're saying, you sound like you're willing to take that risk, right? So you have a high risk tolerance. Like you said, are you going to jump off the roof if you lose your salary? Then this probably ain't the product for you, right? Then there's things like annuities, right? So there's fixed annuities, right? There's and I haven't even a product that nobody talks about is variable universal life insurance. Okay. Someone like yourself may be interested in a VUL because you seem to have the risk tolerance, right? But so the VUL is an IUL on steroids. No cap rate, up to 200% par rate or better, but no floor.
Oh, so you're actually participating in the downside.
Yeah. That's funny as hell. You were like, oh, yeah, because I saw you scratching like, wait, this sounds very interesting. Then I said, like, no floor.
Where's the catch? It was like, oh, you get unlimited upside, but like you go in with the down too. That makes sense. That's fair.
Yeah. Right. So nobody talks about the VUL. Now, and this is crazy because I was thinking of making moves. When I talk to people on Wall Street, like I said, I was actually on Wall Street, 100 Broadway. I literally got chased during the Occupy Wall Street movement. Like a mob of folks chased me. I was like scared as shit. Yeah, dude, that shit was crazy. Like I said, my first off was 100 Broadway. You come out, take two lefts, the nice is right there. I used to have coffee with Jim Cramer on Wednesdays.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, I'm from the West Coast, man. I can't. When he says this kind of stuff, I'm like, I just think back to like shows that I've seen in New York and shit. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. That's all good.
I was listening and I just got my daughter. I got to go run around the corner of the grocery store and get something for dinner. But no, I'm listening in, you guys. You got it.
No doubt. You were saying something, Ray?
No, I think that's freaking awesome, dude. Like that's like when I was in New York, it was definitely something to take in. I was like, huh, okay, like I get it.
Yeah,
get it.
So that's why my perspective is so very different from a lot of, these other product pushers, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a financial strategy, and like I said, there is no one size fits all, right? What works for you may not work for me, right? What works for Complex might not work for either one of us. Aspects of it might, but as an overall, you can't really just throw a blanket. Just like I tell people this all the time. It's like going to the doctor, right? So I have diabetes, and so does my grandmother. But I take insulin shots. My grandmother takes pills. If the doctor were to just say, "Oh, your family, you both have diabetes. You both need to take this much insulin," If my grandmother were to take the insulin in the amount that I take, I wouldn't have a grandmother.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? Because
Yep.
it just wouldn't. Her body don't need what my body needs.
Right.
Um, so the VUL is something, like I said, that a lot of agents aren't securities licensed, which is why they won't talk about it. It's not that they can't talk about it, it's that they won't talk about it, because often they're taught and told, you can't even talk about this stuff because you're not securities licensed. And I understand why, and that's why Complex keeps saying this is not financial advice so heavily on my channel, because I actually am licensed. And from what we're saying, if somebody were to go take this advice and get screwed, they could then turn around and be like, Alonzo said to do this, and then I'd lose my license.
I was about to say that the VUL would give you the complaint. You know what I'm saying? Because then somebody can look at their policy one day and be like, "It's down right now. Like, you lost me money, and this is your fault." And like, I 100% get it. And unfortunately, people are stupid.
Yeah.
You're just like, okay, like the reality of it is there's always been peasants. Like, it's just what it is. Like, everybody ain't built to win. Like, we live in a world where there's going to always be some form of competition and hierarchy, and there's a reason for it, because not everybody can do everything. Like, it's just what it is. Like, I got family that's like that, and like me and my mom were talking the other day, and I was like, well, y'all don't listen. And like, she was like, because I have accounts that I have set up already that I'm funding for my god nieces and nephews, because I'm like, I'll make the change with them. Like, I can't fix you. Like,
that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with it, bro. That's where I'm at with it. Even with my yeah.
But I was like, like, it's no offense, but I'm like, y'all are all dumb. You don't listen. You don't want to listen to me. And like, you're seeing what I'm doing. And like, y'all just sitting here just looking at me like it's crazy or some shit, like I'm selling drugs. And I'm like, well, you don't listen, so I can't fix you. I can fix a kid, though. Like, I can at least, I'll instill my will with them until I have my own kids, and then I'll right the ship one way or the other. But like, I'm not dealing with any of you unless you ask for it. Like, I'm done chasing. Like, I told y'all when I first started down this road, and you guys were like, you're gonna lose all your money. And here we are. Like, it is what it is. Like, I
think
know.
that's big in our community too. Is that fear? But like, so prime example, right? Like right now, the infinite banking is the big thing, dude. I've been infinite banking since 2012.
Well, it got popular now. All right, listen.
Yeah, now everybody's calling me. Hey, you still doing that insurance thing? I'm like, in my career, yes.
That's funny. That's like, hey, you still, dude. I have people. Well, I mean, one of my mentors, who's friends with my business partner. And my business partner obviously doesn't want me to quit, so it's not in like anyone's best interest to like tell me like, "Hey, you're smart." So when I first got into crypto, they were both like, "You're gonna lose all your money," and he was like, "You need to talk to Ajax because he's gonna tell you you're gonna lose all your money." And he was like, "You're gonna lose all your money." I was like, "You're wrong," and he was just like, "What makes you think I'm wrong?" I'm like, "Math, dude. Like, I'm not arguing with you because I feel some type of way about this." I'm like, "Math just isn't on your side on this, so you are therefore wrong." 2 years later. Oh man. And so like now he actually takes me out for coffee sometimes. And he's like, yo, I want to talk about this. Like when I started doing the high yield stuff, he was like, hey, I'm going to take you out to coffee. I need you to tell me about what you're doing now. He was like, are you still doing crypto? I'm like, yes. Wow. I was like, I'm doing this so I don't have to spend my crypto. But it's funny because my business partner still hasn't bought Bitcoin. And I was like, bro, you should put this on the books so that you can grow the valuation of the company. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. And never did it. And I was like, dude, if you weren't sitting on cash, you were sitting on Bitcoin, you'd have way more money right now, right?
Question: What business structure do you guys have?
I think it's an S corp. Shit, I should probably just go look at I should probably pull my paperwork up. I don't know. Like honestly, like I just signed a piece of paper and was like, "Yo, cut me
Did
a
you
check."
guys get a valuation?
So currently, I think we're at about 8 million. Because like when he said he wants to sell it when we get into the 20s. It's like that
Okay.
was the goal.
Did you guys get a buy-sell agreement?
What?
Did you guys put together a buy-sell agreement?
No.
Okay. So I charged $300. No.
Well, actually, I don't know, but I don't think so. Like, I didn't see anything that specifically said buy sell agreement. But what is that? You want to elaborate on that?
So a buy-sell agreement is multifold. One, it's protection for each member of the business.
Mhm.
And then it's a way to exit the business. Right? It's your exit strategy. Long and short, in layman's terms. You will need, or I will need to speak with you guys as attorney in terms of setting it up.
Yeah.
But the simplest way, ironically enough, to fund those generally is this is where things like cash value life insurance come into play. Unless you guys have, well, the reason you want to do it with is CVLI as opposed to term, which you can use term as well. And term will be substantially cheaper, especially at the numbers you guys are talking. But then even there, right? I don't know if you guys have employees, right? If you have employees, Are you looking at a 401k?
Yep.
Why are you wasting all that shit ton of money on administrative fees and having to have people participate? Yes, there's a tax break, but there are so many other products. I work with pension partners. We do a 412E.
What's that? A 412E?
Mm-hmm. Go to irs.gov and type in 412E, and then
Doing it right now, bro. You ain't gonna tell me twice.
Like I said, I only charge $300. Which at yesterday's price is not today's price. I think I just went up to $4,000 like the rest of the CFPs. But these are, and if you're an S corp, you might be looking at a 162 executive bonus, right? So these are things that cash value life insurance is often used for, as strategies, not death benefit, right? If you look up something called BOLI, bank-owned life insurance, you can even go to the website BOLICOLI, BOLICOLI.com, right? They'll tell you about BOLI, credit union-owned life insurance. They'll also tell you about something called a LIRP, life insurance retirement plan, right? So these are all things that can increase your balance sheet, and there's only accretion. Again, life insurance companies been paying dividends for over 200 years, so there's not been a decrease, right? Now, are there some companies who have gone out of business? Yes, right? Like North Carolina Mutual, which was a black-owned firm. However, Atlanta Life Insurance doesn't only do life insurance; they do something called reinsurance, right? Are you familiar with reinsurance?
Reinsurance?
Yeah.
No.
So reinsurance is how an insurance company takes over the risk for either another insurance company or large carrier, right? Like if you go to atlantalifeinsurance.com, you'll also see that they partnered with Magic Johnson, who bought Equitrust Life Insurance for $11 billion in, I believe, 2017 or 2014. And by 2017, they were worth $14 billion.
Oh,
we know about the purchase of the Dodgers, though.
Yes.
Right. And that $11 billion only bought him 51% of the company.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. But mind you, insurance companies are also investment companies, and we have to have substantially larger reserves than FDIC.
Right, because you guys are basically set up like you can't fail. Right.
No, they can definitely fail.
Well, isn't it supposed to be like borderline impossible? Like unless like all your clients died at the same day or something?
Well, yeah. That's one of the that's one of the ways. unless like all of the clients die at the same time. But also there are companies that go insolvent. Please, actually, there's one that's insolvent. Look up North Carolina Mutual. Right? If you go there, now they were in rehab, meaning they were not taking on new clients. They were only paying out claims. But now they're at a point where they're looking for a reinsurer to make sure that they can keep up with their claims.
Oh, so that's insurance for the insurance company is reinsurance, correct?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. Yeah. But not just that. Like I said, an Atlanta Life Insurance Company, they reinsure Macy's. They reinsure Delta. They reinsure a lot of big companies. Because if these companies take a loss, right, you're talking billions of dollars.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? Which Macy's is actually federated, which I'm surprised they haven't cashed in their reinsurance because federated is just losing shit tons of money. Due to things like Amazon and Shein and so on and so forth. Nobody's shopping at Macy's anymore or Bloomingdale's. I still do, but you know, I'm an uppity
I haven't been
Negro.
to a Macy's in forever.
Yeah. Hey, I can't help it. I'm an uppity Negro, as they call
Well,
me.
I mean, you can order everything now. Like I got the Nordstrom Rack app, dude.
Well, yeah, no,
I need
okay,
a
so
deal,
you
it's
mean
right
actually
there.
going there? No, I haven't actually gone there in a while, but shopping from there is a different story.
Okay.
But
That's fair. I was like, so we have like a shopping center that has like a bunch of like we have like a Coach and a Michael Kors. I like going there. Like I'll go into those stores, but I'm not going into Macy's.
okay, that's fine. Yeah, no, I don't, dude. Well, again, 34th Street Macy's is a different experience than
So
everywhere else in America.
So oh yeah, because you're talking about New York, right?
So I'm physically in Connecticut, but yes, I'm talking about New York.
Okay, so that would be different. I'll give you that because like I walked into everywhere when we were out there visiting. Like,
Yeah.
like
Bloomy's on 59th. Have you ever been to? Oh God, Bergdorf Goodman.
No, what's that?
Type in Bergdorf Goodman.
How do you
BERGDORF, one word.
Oh, there you go. I see it.
Oh, he's giving you all the specialty shit out there. Is that what he's doing? I'm back.
Oh wow. Oh wow. That's some movie stuff.
You said daddy-daughter duties.
Yeah, man. Nothing wrong with that complex.
Is that what is that, like the Fred Siegel of New York or something?
Man, I can't afford
Bergdorf. Dude, I went in. They had a Tom Ford wristlet that was $25,000.
Jesus.
Okay, yeah, it's like the Fred Siegel. They used to have a shop like something like that on the West Coast called Fred
on Rodeo.
And, no, actually, it was on Santa Monica. I think that's where Fred Siegel was. And so they had like all the high end fucking because you do what, you're Ralph, right? Ralph Lauren.
I'm actually now doing custom, but yes, I did used to do Ralph Lauren.
Ralph, right? So like the whole Ralph Lauren polo shit, like all these specialty niche shops that had the high end exclusive shit. When they re-released like the do you remember the Snow Beach kit that Polo did that Raekwon wore in the Wu-Tang shit back in the day?
Yes.
Bro, they re-released that and you could only get it at Fred Siegel if you were in LA.
Okay.
I know cats that literally do $3K for that kit.
Yeah, and if you're in I guess Midwest, it would be Walters.
What was that swap be?
If you're in the Midwest, it would be Walters. Right, so you know, I'm thinking. Well, at least Atlanta.
Okay, no, I mean every location. That's what I'm saying. When you mentioned that,
I guess Bad Christian is a fan of Hermes.
Oh, you're reading the comments.
Yeah, wow, yeah. He said the real wealthy buy Hermes and $50K Rolex. As I said, I guess he's a fan of Hermes. He goes, yeah, the real wealthy do not buy Hermes and $50K Rolexes. They definitely do buy Hermes, but they definitely also buy Louis, Gucci, Fendi, Kors, and all that. They just don't wear the brand across their chest.
They don't. That's
Yeah.
bullshit.
But they
Hey
definitely
man,
do
listen.
wear all those brands.
Right. Hey, look, dude. Okay, it's like going on 8 o'clock. I got my kiddo at the house. You know what I gotta do,
Yeah,
man.
I was about to say I
Daddy
gotta
daughter.
dip out too. Like I gotta be
No
Yeah.
up.
problem.
Hey,
We've been going for
Record.
almost 2 hours.
Yeah, dude.
Are you?
This is a good
Have you
conversation
dropped?
though, Joe. I was happy I fought.
Have you dropped your link?
Yeah,
Joe,
drop your
if I
link in the
go
chat,
on the
bro.
playback,
Oh,
yeah, if I go on the playback and then is your link in the chat so I can like click it and
hold
subscribe to
on.
you because I'm on StreamYard right now.
Hold on.
Yeah, if you could drop, yeah, I'll pull up on you.
Yeah, I
Bro.
gave you the wrench, Ray, so you should be able to drop it in there.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Hold up. Let me pop that up.
Okay, and I'll pull up on the playback and then I'll catch your link.
Mm.
Yeah, Zoe, I
I guess.
appreciate you for firing this up, dog.
Yeah, dude, you guys just kind of got me into it, kind of dropping that info. I'm almost laughing at Bad Christian because he has a little bit of a point. Except everybody wears brands. Even the quote unquote wealthy wear brands. They might wear custom as
Yep.
well, but they
Everything's a
definitely wear
fucking brand.
brands.
Well, they
Yeah,
wear
everything
them
is a
different.
brand.
They wear them different
Yeah.
though. It's like you'll like because like my business. I work in home automation, so we're in $1 million plus houses. So all of our clients are rich, and like you'll be in their closets after they move in because like we're there from start to finish, and like you're in their closets and you look and nothing. They'll have Gucci stuff everywhere, and nothing says Gucci on it. Like
Yeah,
we're the only ones who do that. They make that specifically for us.
they literally brand.
Uh-oh.
And they cattle prod. They brand
Yep.
us.
Yep. And
You know.
then they'll have a shirt that's a Gucci shirt, but it just looks like a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And it don't say nothing,
Man,
but they know what it is. Like they can tell from looking at it, like how it's made, like they're looking at different stuff and they go, even though it doesn't say Gucci in big letters on the front, like they know it's a premium brand.
Okay, you know what? I think a conversation. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna go drop off, man. It's a pleasure, like chopping up with you, brother, this evening, man. But I really do think there has to be a conversation that we have to have, like a real fucking conversation about like material value, right?
Yep.
So like let's just say for example, dude, like if like I said, I'm I'm asset heavy on shit. So like batteries, parts, components, this and that. Dude, like there's prices that it's sold at on various platforms, right? And then there's like the cost that I know from the fucking factory, given the MOQ. So price per unit, right? And it blows your fucking mind how much it is that people pay for things that really aren't worth what it is that. I mean, okay, so the question becomes, right? I guess that's the whole point, right? Like value, what is true value, right? Because there's because at a certain point there is no such thing. And what you do is you get down to the fucking mining and the mineral cost and the very real fucking cost to extract something and then make it into something and then turn that something and then I don't know if it's just going to be blank sheets of fucking plastic or sheet metal or various alloys or I don't know what kind of fucking materials we're talking about, right? Like dude, at a certain point, like this value thing is kind of like a I don't want to call it a myth, but damn, if you're an industrialist, you understand, dude, that like there's a nitty gritty cost point that has to deal with like excavators and fucking extractors and mills and plants and shit
Well,
like
see,
that.
even on
I used to
my
work in
end,
the
I
steel
look at the
industry for
useful
a
life
short
of
time, you know.
things. Right? Because, for example, let's look at footwear, right? So footwear, I still wear brands, right? So, like, I went and I bought some Jordans because I'm black.
That's not why you bought them. Shut up.
He said
no,
when you swiped your card, did you say for the culture?
This is for
Yeah,
the
it
culture.
said, do you want to round up for the culture?
Right? Do you want to round up for the culture?
Do you want to
No, dude.
round up for the culture?
Here's what pissed me off, right? Because come to find out, they're like apparently they're not quote unquote real Jordans. They're six rings. I don't know if you guys know the fucking difference. So
No.
I also
No
yeah.
idea.
So apparently, six rings are a variation of Jordans that aren't Jordans, even though they're Jordans, but they're not Jordans. I don't know. So right. Um, but long story short, I bought that and I bought a pair of Levi jeans and a blue T-shirt with Michael Jordan on the front, giving the okay sign. Just because I was like, okay, I'm going to a cookout. I don't want to wear a full suit to a cookout, so let me, dress
No, you want you
appropriately.
want you want cookout approved apparel.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. So I go to my cousin's barbershop, and there's a 50-plus-year-old guy. Oh my god, that outfit is so fly! Yeah, 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 yeah. Meanwhile, when I come in, so I have, I don't know, I don't have that many custom blazers, but also I have from Bloomingdale's a brand called Robert Graham. If you know, you know. Now I'm not portly, so Robert Graham doesn't really fit on me well. Like when I was bigger and wore Michael Kors, it used to fit on me well.
Yep.
Now that I'm more slender, certain brands fit on me better, and
Mhm.
that's why I mention to people, if you're going to wear a brand, don't just wear it because it's a brand. Wear it because it's a brand, right? Prime example: all of my eyewear is Burberry. Now I happen to know that Burberry eyewear is made by fucking Ray-Ban. But I happen to
Ooh,
like, yeah, I
they just
happen to
the
like,
market. Yeah, they
yeah,
market. Yeah, marketing
I like
department.
but except for the pair of glasses that I gave to my mother, if you didn't know, then you wouldn't know that my glasses are Ray-Ban. Ray-Ban, Burberry. You also wouldn't know that they're actually just Ray-Ban, but you wouldn't know that they were Burberry, unless you were of that wealthy culture who could say, "Oh, well, look at the backs of the ear. That's the Burberry pattern." And I don't mean yeah. See, and Christian, Burberry is another brand that actually wealthy people wear a shit ton of, which is
Yeah.
just London Fog. Um, but they had to make it more expensive, right? Because I used to wear a shit ton of London Fog in the '80s when I was a kid.
You mean like
But
basically how a fucking Audi is just a more expensive Volkswagen?
yeah,
Yeah.
or a cheaper Bugatti.
Okay, yeah, however you want to look at
Yeah.
Dang. Dang.
Right?
because
And
both are true, right?
it is. And both are true.
Both are
Audi is
true.
either a more expensive VW or a cheaper Bugatti.
Or a fucking cheaper Bugatti. That's funny as shit.
Yeah. That's hilarious. But again, it's just in the terms of, well, we had this conversation earlier, Complex, how you look at things, right? Um,
Yep.
but so yeah, like I love Burberry for their eyewear, but you won't see me wearing like the Burberry belt, right? Now I might wear the Burberry trench coat, right? But like for my leather goods, my wallets and stuff, I wear Coach because it's the brand, not just because it's the brand, right? But I use Coach because Coach is a good leather good, right? So I use Coach for my
Hmm.
wallet, right? Um, if I was to do, luggage, I would probably do Louis Vuitton. People are like, "Oh my god, why would you spend all that money for luggage?" Because that's what the fuck it's made for, right?
Hey,
That's why.
Zoe, I gotta get up out of here, dude. But I'm gonna text you something. So, just real quick, dude. I'm gonna leave it on this note because you mentioned Louis. So I was cleaning out some stuff in the garage, right? And man, it's been some time since January will be 10 years. Wifey passed, and I'm kind of just there's stuff that I've had that I just kind of need to just relieve myself of,
Mhm.
And I was going through some stuff, right? And I go through this one bag, and it's stuff that her mother had. So my wife's grandmother used to work at Saks Fifth Ave, right? She
Oh
used to
wow.
work at Saks Fifth Ave in Chicago, and so dude, she got all the vintage, every goddamn thing from that time. Dude, she started working at Saks maybe in 1947, and
Oh wow,
retired
she's
from
got
there.
the vintage.
She's got the vintage shit. So, dude, one of those bags, I found a vintage Louis kit that her mother.
Wow.
So her mother got from her grandmother and then saved for her.
Wow.
This is vintage Louis. It's a purse. What is it? It's a purse, and then the little sort of like a mini purse type of situation, and a wallet. Yeah, I'll send you a picture of it, dude. I got a picture of my daughter holding it from this past weekend.
Word.
Yeah, dude.
She's gonna be the envy on that damn cooking campus. I'll tell you that much.
Man, listen, dude. I told her, I was like, dude, don't you take that shit. Like, don't you take that shit out. Like, not now. Wait till you get a husband or something, man. He's walking out with that kind of shit.
And
yeah,
he's got a pew pew.
Yeah, you gotta have a pew pew on you. Okay, hey, Zoe, Reckless, man. Hey, Reckless, pleasure meeting you, brother. I'm gonna hit that link and I'll sub to you, man. I'll pull up on you, dog.
Absolutely. So
and I'm gonna start doing more of these.
2 channels. I put the Future Financial Strategies channel because, like, my channel, I be arguing with people on here all the time. So I'm shadow banned on everything on this channel, pretty much. So, like, I have a channel that's just for bag talk, like where I'm pleasanter.
I should probably start doing that and separate, but I just don't care.
Well, the thing that this is crazy. So, like, I randomly did it. And, like, one of my dudes that's in my mentorship group here in town was like, yo, I saw what you did. And I was like, what? And I was like, oh, because I'm shadow banned. And he was like, yeah, you're shadow banned. He was like, you scream at people. I was like,
oh, man.
I was like, yeah. So I made a new channel and, like, the videos are getting a lot more traction over there. And, like,
really?
I'm just so, like, if you do, like, the panel conversations or do anything controversial on your main channel and you're actually wanting people to see your content in regards to the finance stuff, you do have to break that out because, like, they shadow ban everything I upload, and I'm just now realizing how that I'm doing it on a different channel.
Okay.
So
that's
yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, y'all. Hey, you gentlemen have a good evening, okay?
You as well.
No doubt, brother. So yeah, I guess I'll start to wind down because we've been going for about 2 hours. I'm gonna go have me a cup of tea and a cigarette.
Dude.
I know I gotta give up those cigarettes. I know.
No, you grown, bro. Look, at this point, you can do whatever you want, bro. There
you go. But like, I'm so glad that you're here.
Dude, I am too, because, like, we never actually got to ever have any actual conversation back and forth outside of, like, texting in the Discord, and like, stuff gets lost in translation when it's just text. So no, it's really good to freaking rap with you. Like I said, your stuff. So, like, I like having those conversations because I always learn something. So
yeah, that's why I was like, oh, hold on, because, like I said, the whole crypto thing, like I said, personally, I don't believe in the digital currency, but there's so many people, my clients do. So guess what I have to do?
Yep.
I have to learn about this shit. Yep. Yeah, I got to adapt or die, right? So if they're asking me, hey, what about this? And I'm like, that sucks. Okay, cool. I'll go get another advisor. But if I'm like, well, I'm not all the way in it, but here's Oh, okay. Well, because there's advisors who, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I was like, also, dude, like, if you need, like, questions answered and stuff, like, if it's something, like, on the fly, reach out. Because, like, I can give you, like, if I have an answer, I can give you an answer.
Okay. Oh, did you check out the 412E?
Oh yeah, I've got it pulled up. I was like, I'm gonna do some. I was gonna do some reading on that. The 412E, that thing is freaking cool. Like, so it. I was like, I'm gonna have to look into that because I was like, that's a real interesting retention deal.
Yeah.
Because in my field, most of the technicians that you're getting, if they have experience, they're older. So
Okay.
that's definitely something to look at.
Yeah. And then even for you guys, right? Like I said, especially if you're an S corp. So
Yeah.
I have a lot of the clients that I do these IULs with are not your average Joe, right? They're business owners like yourself, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
they're pulling, between 1 and 2 million a year. A lot of them are in the entertainment industry. And then I have, my average Joes are not your average Joe, right? They're municipal workers, firefighters, policemen. So they're not your average Joe, even though, technically most people would be, oh, they're just a regular. No, policemen, firefighters, those motherfuckers make money.
Right.
But,
Right.
so these guys are even corrections officers. I work with a shit ton of corrections officers, right? And these guys make a lot of money. But for like my entertainment and business owners, depending on their business structure, you're probably going to want to look at a 162 executive bonus. That's something very different from Keyman insurance. What you've been talked to about is Keyman insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And I promise you've been talked to about Keyman insurance because that's what makes agents the quick buck, but not the big buck. Right? I talk to people about shit that's going to make me the big buck, not the quick buck. Right? And so, the 412E takes a lot of structuring. A lot of people, like if I were to sit down and talk with your CPA, because I'd have to do that to set up your 412, he's going to, what's the vesting schedule? Hummina. I'm already kind of obviously to just mention that and tell you that people are going to be humming, I'm not going to be humming, right? Because again, a lot of this stuff, especially now that I'm putting it out there, these infinite banking guys, they're going to pick it up, right? Collateral assignments, they're going to pick it up, right? The BRRR, and this is why infinite banking or becoming your own bank is a great strategy. Yeah. But it's again, it's the time horizon, right? But like,
well, and that's what I was gonna say was like, when I learned how to do it, that's how the infinite banking, I learned about that when I did the leveraging of my Bitcoin. Like basically I did infinite banking and I figured out how to do it with Bitcoin in that window of time because I was like, I can do this right now. And like, and I was like, oh, okay. So this does work because so like my issue with the infinite banking for the everyday person is the ramp up time for it. Cause it's like, as you're building, it's like you got to dedicate a chunk of money to this, and I'm like, that's the opportunity cost on that. Putting it into Bitcoin for me, I'm just like, that's a lot of money when I factor it that way, and then like the time before you can touch it again, because like the use case for it, 100%, I'm locked in on that, but it's like the premise of it. Is that like if you're average Joe and you're actually like financially literate and like cycling your money appropriately, you have to stop what you're doing to build that up so that can become part of the plan.
Right.
And
here's the other thing. and again, most people don't use the strategy the right way. Right? So let's use the purchase of a car. Let's use the purchase of a used car, 20 grand, right?
Right.
So how long is it going to take you to build up that 20 grand in the life policy? Now, it might not take as long as you think, but how long is it going to take you to save up that 20 grand? Now, on the flip side, you mentioned opportunity costs. So that opportunity cost, okay, boom, I can get to it a lot faster with, let's just say, a brokerage account. Let's not use Bitcoin. Same idea as a brokerage account with Bitcoin. But, so you're going to get those, again, astronomical highs. You're also participating in those lows. But, and again, like you said, you can't do the strategy you use because that almost sounds like it was infinite banking because you're taking the tax-free loan. Yeah. But with your tax-free loan, right, you saw interrupted simple interest.
Yeah.
Right? You didn't see uninterrupted compound interest. Right? So again, with infinite banking, it's going to be uninterrupted compound interest, right? So you're going to have that 100,000 saved up. You're going to pull out that 20,000, right?
Right.
And then you're going to give that 20,000 to the car dealership. Now the car dealership is going to say, yeah, you're going to pay us $700 a month for the next 72 months, right? So instead of paying $700 a month back to Ford Financial, right, at whatever percent interest rate, you're going to pay it back to Reckless Ray's insurance policy, right? So that just speeds up the cash value growth. And remember, it's uninterrupted. So even though you have 80,000 in there liquid, the balance sheet that you're growing your interest on is compounding on the 100,000, right? Now, one of the things that people don't look at and or mention, except for on the negative side, is the interest that you pay back. And people say, well, why would I pay money to borrow my own money? Well, why would you pay money to borrow anyone's money if that's the case? But the reality is, most people don't know about the new money in interest. So I'll use it with IULs because I'm not sure. I generally don't push the strategy with whole life. I generally push the strategy with IULs. And again, the reason is because with whole life, you have to schedule that chunk of money. So let's say, Ray, you sat down and said, hey, listen, I want to do an infinite banking whole life. I want to pay $1,000 a month, but I want to do this overfunding thing. Okay, how much do you want to overfund it? I want to overfund it $500 a month. Okay, so Ray, we're going to schedule your premium payment to be $1,500 a month for 5 years. But then after year 5, your payment goes back down to the $1,000, and you can't add an additional dollar in to increase your cash value above the $1,000. Now, with the IUL, there's flexibility of death benefit and premium. So let's say with that whole life, your death benefit is $1 million. Again, these are arbitrary numbers, but I'm just trying to make it easy.
Right.
So no matter how much cash you stuff into that policy, your death benefit is $1 million, right? And this is where you hear people say, well, you only get the death benefit or the cash value. That's kind of the point. You want to get the cash value while you're alive and the death benefit when you're dead. There's also something called BBD, buy, borrow, die strategy, which a lot of wealthy use.
Yeah.
So now the IUL, you're not stuck like that. There's flexibility of death benefit and premium. No dividends, but flexibility of death benefit and premium. So, same premise. Hey, listen, Alonzo, I want to pay $1,000 a month. Okay, here's $1 million death benefit. Again, arbitrary numbers, ladies and gentlemen. We're just using this for illustration's sake. All right. So you take that $1,000 a month, and you say, hey, Alonzo, I want to pay an extra $500 a month. Okay. So then you just pay $1,500 a month. And then let's say you do it for 3 months and you say, hey, it's winter, business is slowing down. I can only do the 1,000. Okay. And then you say, hey, it's summer, business is exploding. I can do 2,000. Okay. Right. And then the very next month, so there's no scheduling it, right? So let's say you do $1,500 a month for 5 years, just like you did with the whole life. But then you still want to continue $1,500 a month. Okay. Now, that's the flexibility of premium, right? You also have the flexibility of death benefit where your cash value, depending on the way you're accumulating, is going to increase your death benefit, right? Now you have 2 options. You can actually increase your death benefit by purchasing an increased death benefit, just like an aftermarket part on a car, or you can purchase the level death benefit. Or you can do an option C, which is a combination of both. Right? Yeah. Again, a lot of agents don't know about this stuff. Right? There's so much stuff that can be done with this. The reason I give this information away for free is the 80-20 rule that, like, Anton will talk about. You'll give a bunch of information. 80% of people won't even do anything with it.
Yeah. No, 100%. 100%.
And so I can give this information out. People watch it 3 and 4 times and still not do anything. Even licensed people will be like, I don't get it. Right? Then, uh, like Waka Flocka Flame the rapper. Initially, he was like, I'm gonna take $2-3 million, put it in the life insurance, borrow from the life insurance, and put it back in the life insurance. And now he's speaking against the IUL because he lost, I think, $3 to $5 million. Right? So, why did that happen? So when you sit with
Specifically,
an insurance agent, oh no, I
oh,
was going to tell you why.
okay.
Yeah. So why did that happen? Is because agents legally, you have a meeting coming up.
Oh no, I was like, I had an alarm set. I was like, okay. So I got it, but I do want to finish this piece of the conversation before I jet. So like, tell me the story.
No problem.
Okay.
So agents get paid a percentage of what you pay into the policy for the year, right?
Right.
So street level is 50%. Now, if they're with one of these MLMs, which would be PHP, WFG, FFL, GFI, Experior, Primerica,
Yep.
all that jazz. They're getting 130% of what you pay in for the year. Right? Street level is guys like myself who are with Mass Mutual, Prudential, New York Life, reputable companies.
Right.
The difficulty is these IMOs, these reputable companies know that they're churning and burning people. So they're like, yeah, come on, we'll give you a little extra dollars on your policies that are going to end up falling off the books, and we're just going to keep the money anyway. Right? Versus an agent like me who they spend money on, my licensure and da. So minimum, the agent knows they're getting 50% of what you're putting in. So there's something called target premium.
Yeah.
Right? Target premium is how most of these agents are setting the policy up, which they're also setting it up. They might set it up for what's called minimum non-max, right? So minimum death benefit, maximum payment. This is how you overfund or overpay for a policy. So let's say you say, hey, I'm paying $1,000 a month. You might not get $1 million death benefit. You might get a $500,000 death benefit. And then somebody will say, well, why are you paying $1,000 a month for a $500? I can get you way more in term. I'm not buying death benefit. When you buy cash value life insurance, you're literally buying more money.
Right.
But
Gotcha.
you have to buy it the right way.
Yep.
So you were saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I was saying it's the intent of how you're using the tool.
Exactly. So now you're looking at, okay, boom, I'm paying $1,000 a month for a $500,000 death benefit. I know I could get $1 million death benefit, but I'm buying the cash value, and the growth is going to be substantially faster. And Alonzo's not going to get paid off of the target premium, because the target premium for 500,000 is half of the target premium for $1 million. So the target premium means, hey, $1,000 a month gives a 40-year-old man $1 million death benefit. Lonzo gets paid $6,000 off of that $12,000, right? Just year one. Year two and on is different. But the way I set them up, okay, the target death benefit is 700 or 250,000, but you're paying $1,000 a month. Target premium is $1,500, so I'm getting a $750 check off of that. So everything above that is in your benefit, and I do that so that you'll go, hey, business partner, sit down with this guy. Hey, everybody else who's rich client, sit down with this guy, right? Because I'd rather get $1,500 checks than one $15,000 check. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because there's also chargebacks, right? But that's neither here nor there. So a lot of agents are getting paid off of target premium, and that's what happened to Waka Flocka. The agent saw him as they see a lot of us coming from a mile away. Hey, I want to borrow from this policy. Cool. How much money you want to put in there? X amount of dollars. And I'm going to ask you the same thing. How much do you want to put in there? But I'm going to ask you, what do you want your life insurance to do for you? Because there's a multitude of things it can do, right? Like a college funding plan, like Complex was talking about, right? I was going to say, maybe you want to look at cash value life insurance because of the benefits of it not being considered when you're going for, student loan, right?
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah. So, and then they can use that cash for anything, whereas with a 529, you have to use the money for education purposes. Now, the beautiful thing
Is
is
the
that
529 factored if like you're applying for grants and stuff and like
yes,
student loan? Oh, interesting. They don't tell you
yeah.
that either.
Oh, well, yeah. You know what? You're right.
Huh. I
Yeah,
didn't know that. That's okay. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So if you're trying to go, for grants and all this other stuff, they're like, whoa, 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 you've got money. What do you
Yep.
mean? This 529. That that's where OJ Simpson hid his money. That's why they couldn't get anything from him. His money was in life insurance. So,
also true. I
yeah.
was like, man, okay. Well, I'm gonna have to tap in with you, bro, because like, yeah, now that I'm getting some like forward momentum and we got some stuff going, like I'm looking at those things, but like I had to get positioned to be able to go, hey, I can take that tool off the shelf and like
Yeah.
not completely be like, yo, I'm never gonna financially recover from this. Because that's the other reason that people can't stick with it. They get into it early and then they're like, if anything happens to you, that's the first thing that they cut. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So no, okay. Well, definitely gave me a bunch to think on. I appreciate you, brother.
No problem.
Also, again, that line of communication, like if you have any clients with crypto questions, let me know because I can give you the answer so you can have an answer.
Yeah, definitely. And even furthermore, I'm going to want to start talking because I have a few who do have crypto questions, and I'm like, blah, blah. Let me find out, and I don't have a source to find out because everyone in my firm, ironically enough, we're a small black-owned firm, but
Mhm.
I'm like one of the youngest guys at my firm,
Well, of course you
and
are. Everyone in
yeah,
insurance, you're supposed to be old, bro.
yeah, I guess that's true.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. I'll be in touch, brother. You have a good one.
No doubt. All right,
Peace.
ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna peace out. I'm gonna get ready to wind down. I thank you guys for coming. I will be doing these probably more often late night since I don't have to particularly be on screen in anything. And I'll probably just start, kind of talking some of the stuff I'm talking and having these conversations. I think they're important to be had. Um, I appreciate everyone who's come through, watched in live time, and everyone who watches on the replay. This is definitely for you guys. Also, you guys also want to make sure that you uh, chime in and check out when I do either go live with or live stream along with my brother from another mother, David Kinder, Mike Moffat of the Financial Advocacy Podcast. No, they are not black, but they are men who are in this industry, and they are a wealth of knowledge, and they don't hold it against me or towards me that I'm black. They just go off of the merit of my character, and they realize that I do have a bleeding heart for my community. And they understand that and want to help me in any way, shape, or form that they possibly can. So if you please tune in when I am streaming the Financial Advocacy Podcast, uh, that will be a wealth of knowledge and help for you. If you guys do have questions, concerns, or comments while I'm live over there with them, I do implore you and beg of you to type into the chat your questions here because that's one of the ways that I get my knowledge is by asking them questions. And generally, I ask them questions from the perspective of things that I've experienced from my client base. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for today. A possible collab. All right, definitely. I'm going to check that out. Let me see if I can copy that. Hold on. How do I start comment? All right. Um. So later, and Broke Genius, if you want to come up, I think the link is in. Hold on. Let me put the link in the chat before I totally check out here. I'm gonna have to check that link from YouTube. Give me 1 second, and give me 1 second here. All right, I'm back. I just wanted to check that possible collab out as well. So like I said, it's these are the things that I need from y'all, right? Because your questions are only going to do two things: make you and myself better, right? And that's from everybody who's watching live or on the replay, right? And Broke Genius, part of the reason I fired this live up was because of you, bro, because we were having that conversation yesterday, and I had a conversation behind the scenes with other brothers, and I was like, yo, you know what? I do grow tired of a lot of the nonsensical stuff. You know what? I'm gonna take a page out of Broke Genius book. He said, you know what? I'd be bored. I'd be looking for something to watch. Blah, blah, blah. Fuck it. I'll go live myself. And if somebody watches, they watch. If they don't, they don't. But at the end of the day, we can't keep going, especially as black men, on this B dub stuff, right? What we can do is go, what's going on, Ra? The link's in the chat if y'all want to come up. I'm getting ready to wind down otherwise. Um, but I think a lot of this stuff is strategies that we can use, and this can be kind of like a war room, right? Are we going to agree on everything all the time? Hell no, right? That's the whole idea of, no doubt, Broke Genius. That's the whole idea of these types of things, right? That's the whole idea of the war room, right? No, we're not going to always agree because we shouldn't, right? The idea is, hey, listen, I have this thought process, I have, this belief system, and then, we're also open and available to new information, right? Like me and Ray, we, like he said, we got off on the start, and we were kind of battling back and forth through texting in the Discord, and that's very different than actually speaking to one another, right? But we're both men who were able to have a civil discourse, meaning, hey, listen, you feel the way you feel, I feel the way I feel, blah blah blah. It is what it is. Right, what's up, brother? You could go ahead.
Yeah, what up, man? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay. So, um, you already know, man. You know what what me and you've been talking about, man. So, um, I'm, my approach, man, is in the beginning is slow and steady because that's just the way it starts out. That's just, you know, that's just the way it is. But, if you got a good, you don't need a big circle. The more people, the less you're able to hold people accountable. But if you got a tight knit circle, um, strategy we've been talking about, man, it ain't even a question that you're gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? So, as far as I'm concerned, that's what I'm going with from here on out. You know, rinse, wash, rinse, repeat, man. That's just the way it is, man. So, um, too many dudes in the space, man, to not, really move in this direction. When you have a surefire way to win and cats don't want to employ those methods, then everything that they're talking about is nullified because they're not here to win. They're just here to complain. So I'm not interested in hearing guys with a grievance. To me, they're no different than people who were allowing milkshakes to be poured over their head in other people's establishments. So I don't have any respect for that whatsoever.
God damn, this is milkshakes.
That's where I'm at with it. Um, it's easy to be about well, what this candidate is doing or what these females are doing, and that's and a lot of that could be true, but when you're taking care of your business, man, you can nullify all of that. So, um, like you said, man, 200 plus years dividend. I mean, what else do you need to hear? I mean, that's I don't need to hear nothing else, man. Like that's enough for me. That lets me know where my bread is going to be buttered, and because once you get at a certain apex, man, now you just do it on a consistent level, and you just keep going for it. So, um, you know, business is family, and family is business, man. You're supposed to be about the business of your family. So, if you're not about that, if you're not about that kind of life, then you're not really gonna be in this game like that. And your brotherhood is or should be an aspect of your family too. So, I mean, that's why they call it a brotherhood. So, you know,
Absolutely.
that's not where you're at with it. Especially guys who are 30s and above. I would say you need to be thinking like this in your 20s, but I can understand why you're not. But 30s and above, especially 40s, I mean, but you know you definitely want to be thinking on that kind of trajectory. And if you're not, then you're just basically using social media apps to just sling mud, and put that responsibility on other people, politicians, all of those types of people. So at the end of the day, you can't get mad at politicians because they get in the game to get some money for their family. So I mean, I can't hate on that. So you need to be trying to do the same. So the way
You
it
know
is.
the strategy that and because you just brought up a very valid point about the politicians and something that again, especially brothers in a lot of spaces who again, they use social media as business as opposed to social media for business, and they don't even realize like the politicians get into this game like, and a lot of people will talk about, for example, Nancy Pelosi doing insider trading. You know what else Nancy Pelosi helped put the kibosh on? The taxation of PPLI, private placement life insurance, right? These are high face amount or generally lower face amount, but higher premium policies. So these people are paying tens of thousands of dollars a year into their policies. Why do we think that people are paying tens of thousands of dollars a year into policies? So much so that Congress was on Capitol Hill talking about we need to tax these things. Hmm. Why would they be talking about taxing these things if they're like this is something that both sides of the fence are benefiting from. PPLI. I did that that expose on Lisa Marie Presley. Now, by no means do we think Lisa Marie Presley is not wealthy. She inherited $100 million from her daddy, right? So it's likely to say she's of the wealthy. She had, when she passed, $35 million worth of life insurance, right? It may have been 45 million, but it was definitely at least 35 million. 1 second there, right? So it was definitely at least 35 million. Do you know that about a week before she passed, she had actually put in paperwork to cash out one of the $10 million policies, which means that it was a cash value policy, which means she was paying probably $3,000 to $5,000 a month in this policy that's growing tax free, compounding, and she unfortunately they screwed up the paperwork, but that's tax free money that's growing, and she was going to use that money to pay off $6 million worth of debt. Right? So these are the strategies again that the rich people are using. And yes, we can use them on our own, albeit at a substantially smaller scale, but we can still use them. What's up, genius?
What's going on, everyone? What's going on, Alonzo? Um, so yeah, I was it was basically because it's just simple as this. Okay, I know people believe every man is created equal, but unfortunately, that's not true. There's gonna always be people that are different and on a lower hierarchy and on a higher hierarchy. Um, we're intelligent men. We're pretty much above intelligence of the average person. So we probably don't get enough fanfare because we not really trying to be that entertaining. But um, our voice speaks louder because we do have more knowledge and research. And when you get older, you should have a lot of knowledge and wisdom, once you get a certain age. But um kind of what I was wanting to talk about as far as, insurance. I say it again, and I've said this many times. Like my uncle told me, my uncle said insurance and banking is the power of the capitalism in America. So the insurance arm backs up the banking arm. In the 70s, the currency was backed by gold. It's not backed by any gold anymore. But as far as like brotherhood, as far as what Rael was talking about, I was waiting for you guys to finish talking, and I was looking at this picture with this money, and this was when I had my Benz, my ML 350. Um, that money actually
There's
was,
boys in the building.
yeah, that money in my hand actually was kind of a partnership with my friend that like a college buddy of mine, because we have originally went half and half on my house that I have. Um, that money was half his to give to the roofer to fix the roof. So, it one of the things, even though it didn't like f- go to its completion as far as the deal and the partnership, at least he put his money up. A lot of people don't even get to that point. And I think a lot of people do talk too much. I mean, action kind of it speaks louder than words. I mean, I actually showed myself doing, when I was doing the Robin Hood challenge, I gave the little money that I did make to other people. I mean, even though it wasn't that much. I mean, but um, you got to keep trying, no matter how silly or crazy you look. You just gotta keep trying, man. Eventually, I think that you will succeed if you just keep kind of trying and kind of trying to scale up. So, um, good, insurance is like kind of like social, knowing people, because you never know what something happens. You never know. I might have some fortune. Rael might have some fortune. Somebody might have some fortune. They might reach back and be like, you know what? I want to give you some business, and then it's probably gonna help me anyway. I'm gonna get one of those policies or one of those IULs or whatever, and you know what I'm saying, kind of like what your friend that is in, like traveling and stuff does. Like just it's a social uh business. You know, insurance is very social. That link from that chick, she sells insurance and does other stuff, but
Is that Lindsay Smith? Because it
no,
didn't come up when I looked it up.
her name is like she goes by Marquisha or something. I don't know.
I'll double check it. Because there's a young lady by the name of Lindsay Smith. Uh,
No,
nice little baddie, but she's heavy on Instagram, and I want to get to her.
yeah. Collabs is how you grow. I mean, that's what we doing now. It's what panels are. It's collabs technically, but that's kind of how you grow, man. Grow audiences, split audiences. I mean, that's just what people do. Now, people have their own cliques and stuff like that. I get it. But the thing is that at the end of the day, man, um, a lot of our problems is financial related. Yeah, we got problems with social issues and women and all kinds of other problems with different people trying to get along. But at the end of the day, man, what do you want to struggle? Do you want to struggle in the ghetto? You know, around abandoned buildings and project buildings and stuff, or do you want to struggle with millions of dollars in the bank? You know, I mean, like, I'd rather have a million
I picked
dollars
the
in the bank.
latter.
Yeah, what I'm saying? I'd rather have a better financial situation. And to be honest, I believe that financial situation is what exacerbating the relationship situation. Um, I haven't necessarily talked to any like scholars or uh, research analysts or anything like that, but I definitely believe it's a correlation with lower financial status or financial struggle and relationship issues. It's not concrete, but I think I see a correlation with the both, like kind of being on a survival mode, not making ends meet, and then being frustrated at not only yourself and but also others, and just kind of not having that baseline where your your financial life is set or has some type of balance, and you coming to the table with someone else from a strong financial um situation is totally different than being struggling week to week, day to day, and being financially vulnerable. You tend to lash out at everything, you get frustrated. It's a totally different experience than when you have all your ducks in a row and have all your financials uh pretty much in a better situation. So
Well, insurance won't solve that completely. Will it add a structure of it? Like I said, I'm a realist, right? So yeah, my goal is to obviously come up here and sell insurance, but I'm a realist. Insurance is a great way to structure and pad yourself from that. That's why I call it life event insurance. But that's not gonna solve the problem. That's an income problem, right?
yeah,
And what has to happen there is also from our community. So yes, we do need to keep a heavy focus on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. But we also need to look at STEM, sales, trucking, equipment, and maintenance, right? Because there are way many more blue collar millionaires outside of sales, um, in trucking, engineering, and maintenance than there are in sales or science, technology, engineering, and math, or in sales. Right?
yeah,
Well, sales is the most rich people everywhere because everybody needs to sell something.
yeah,
But outside of sales, I call sales gray collar, to be honest. Because there's white collar sales and then there's blue collar sales, right? For example, my brother-in-law is in sales, but he's in the auto industry of sales. He doesn't sell cars. but he sells parts, right, to dealerships. So that's more blue collar, right? He's not gonna have to walk up to somebody in a 3-piece suit and try to impress them, because most of these guys are covered in motor oil anyway. They ain't really trying to be impressed
Mhm.
by a guy selling them a part for their truck.
Yeah, what I'm doing now is blue collar. I was let go from a contract because I mean everybody was because uh the company I was working for got beat out by um by basically another IT staffing or actually IT contract firm. Um so they lost out on the contract, so everybody that went with the original company either had to get another position placed in another position or just was let go. So I'm doing blue collar work at the moment. I'm making very close to what I was normally making, but yeah, basically wearing jeans. I got tools. I um dealing with like gas meters and shit. But I've done that before. But you know what I'm saying, I've been in the office and then I've been doing blue collar work before. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of tradesmen that make money. I mean, you got to figure out anything with houses is going to make you money because houses is more expensive. It's more expensive than Benzes, Ferraris, Land Rovers, and Lamborghinis because just the just nature of houses and all of the materials that go in houses. So when you could just be a drywaller, just a drywaller, just you pick up drywall for customers, you install the drywall, you tape the drywall, and you mud the drywall. You can be a drywaller and make over $100,000 a year just being a drywaller. Probably could be a millionaire because it's something that somebody needs. They gotta have it. It's no way around it really. And if you could do it good, you pretty much can write your own ticket. So that's one of the reasons why they bring in migrants over here. They literally need drywallers. They need more drywallers, literally. Like um in other tradesmen like electricians, plumbers, HVAC, because it's something that people need. Like it's some sneaky shit that it's not sneaky, but it's like people don't think about how much you people need tradesmen. Like, we getting ready to get the weather is about to turn cold. Um, People are trying to, check on their furnace, trying to make sure their furnace is good. Or if their furnace ain't good, they're gonna need a heating and ventilation and air conditioning guy to come in, you know, swap a few parts in the furnace or even overhaul an entire furnace, do some duct work, whatever the case may be. So, yeah, the blue collar thing is something that is always, truckers, has been I guess, somewhat of a debate, but not really because all you got to do is have the cash. Once you have the cash, I'm not gonna say you're the king, but you're really on a power level because um as long as you stand on principle and you have some type of standard about yourself, you having that financial power, you can live wherever you want to live for the most part, and whatever you say goes because you got the currency to make that happen. So blue collar, white collar, purple collar, it don't even matter. As long as you get in your financial goals met and you're able to, you know, take care of you yourself, your family, and then also possibly grow. It doesn't matter. Blue collar, white collar. It's just yeah, you gotta work a little bit harder with blue collar.
Let
It's
me let
like
me ask you let me ask a question.
yeah,
And this is just for the panel. Would you rather have $1 million in cash or $5 million worth of leverage?
I would have five
Five
million
million of
dollars,
leverage.
5 million of leverage.
Okay. So, cause see, that's what the game is about. not what you can buy, but what you can leverage. Um, Now, I'm just gonna say it. I think the way that black people as a collective interact needs to completely be blown the fuck up. Period. And the reason why I say that is because the model that black people operate off of, and most black people consider themselves Christian. And when you talk to most black people, they'll sit there and talk about how their God is the God of abundance and all of these types of things. But then when you look at the scripture and then you talk about how a father's supposed to leave an inheritance for his children's children, Ecclesiastes 10:19, and these different things as it relates to in the scripture that revolve around inheritance. We don't have a mindset of inheritance. So for example, my barber had a client that was about to get married to a Bulgarian chick. This was probably about a year ago. And he had just gotten a position. I forgot what he was doing. It was something blue collar, but the position was going to be paying him like 150K. But now this was a brother and his fiance, her family, doctors and sitting on different boards and in real estate. Her father, their family was having a home built for both of them. Now this is before they even got married. This is before. Now, what is that going to allow them to do? Well, let's say if he's the only one working, all of that money that he's bringing is not going to have to service a mortgage or rent. So that is capital that is coming in that he said his father-in-law was going to help him invest in real estate. And I'm saying these types of things, whereas I'm pretty sure more than likely he didn't even get an inheritance even coming through his own family. So on his own side, he's not getting that kind of support. But from a whole completely different ethnicity, he's getting something of an inheritance to help him and his soon to be wife at that time get their lives started. So what I'm saying is that our model as a collective is completely jacked up. And so my mentality is that when I'm talking to Zoe and we're talking about stuff like when I'm asking him questions about certain things that I'm trying to construct from an estate planning issue, because the moment you're born in America, there you create an estate. There's an estate there. So the system is set up that there literally is a responsibility to be about properly planning your estate. So the people that typically don't do that, don't have that mindset, typically are the ones who are constantly every election begging for the same type of crap. So we all know these types of people exist. We know we're related to these types of people. Um, and a lot of times they have this mentality that I don't necessarily say they're looking for handouts, they're looking for charity. But if you go back to the old school, they used to say charity starts at home. So when me and Zoe was talking the other day, I was like, well, life insurance is not necessarily an investment. It's more a charitable thing. And so because it's starting with a person who is willing to take out their policy and have a policy taken out on them on their life, like you're putting it on the line in terms of an inheritance, because that's what it can function as. So that's where the mentality needs to go to, because all this other stuff doesn't work. It has proven that it hasn't worked. Like voting for a party consistently for 60, 70 years has not gotten black people more wealth. There's no change in their circumstance. If anything, their wealth has actually decreased. I mean, you can actually look at previous generations when black people didn't have, they couldn't exercise the right to vote. They were doing better economically, not engaging in the process. So for me, if I'm sitting here talking to Zoe, like I'm not just asking questions pertaining to estate matters for myself. I'm also looking at things from a perspective like how can what I'm doing over here help him set himself up to be more successful, because the more successful he is, the more integrated I am and those around us work with him. It's an infusion that generates a leverage of power that ultimately we all can benefit from if we're in that same circle. So I'm not just thinking about like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna set this up with Zoe and I'm gonna get this money, but he's still gonna be over here struggling. No, I want to grow, but I also want to see him grow too. So when we talk about, Porsches and Bravens, I'm like, yo, we gonna go and get that. You know what I'm saying? We gonna go to that line. We gonna get that. So for me, that's the kind of circle I'm talking about. I'm not talking about this mundane, typical everyday thing. And so, when I'm talking to Zoe, like I'm trying to strategize in the most powerful way. Because me personally, I can't speak for anybody else. I don't want to be around any typical black people. I don't. I want to be around elite minded black people. And I mean, in terms of properly planning the estate, wanting to be in a certain circle where we're moving in a certain fashion that we're helping each other get to that bag together. Because I can't, me personally, I can't sit there and get focused on getting money, and I see my man, he ain't getting any. Like I ain't gonna feel good about that. That's just me. So if anything, I'm gonna be wanting to. He pulled me up, I'm pulling him up. You know what I'm saying? So um, I think that our whole model, it to me needs to be completely blown up. It doesn't work. It's not productive. Every generation is getting us collectively starting at ground zero. Um, if your family can spend uh money on that cable bill for 20 years, why they can't spend money on a policy for 20 years or however long it needs to be? Because people they'll pay for the entertainment, they'll pay for that aspect of things. So if you can have that dedication to watching people, especially on TV, because a lot of people like to watch people on TV get money and live through them. Well, if you can pay for that cable bill and watch people and live through them, why not just take that same money, turn the TV off, and put that in a policy that can generate something, so generationally you can get something started and you don't even necessarily have to die off to get something started. So for me, like if your mindset is not of that, honestly, like I don't even look at you as I don't even take you as a serious person. I literally look at you as a kid because you're not really understanding how the system works. You're not trying to, and you don't care about the next generation. So if you don't even care about the next generation within your own family, who you're related to, and things like that, like why should I care about you as a black person just because we black? That don't mean anything to me because it don't mean nothing to you, even within your own bloodline. So that's my mentality. I don't really care to hear, a grievance from, black men or black people overall. Either you work a plan or you just be on the sidelines with a sideline with a grievance. And I don't believe men are supposed to be walking around with a grievance. I think they should be walking around with a plan.
Man,
I agree with you
bars,
there.
bars.
Big
Yeah,
bars.
yeah. Basically, that's kind of how things start. I mean, okay, you got a household. Outside the household is the overall neighborhood and the community, and somehow or another, from I mean, I don't know. I was born in '80, and I mean, I was born in. I mean, I don't remember obviously when I was born, but my memory started at about between 3 and 5 years old, and I mean, we were living in a part of Chicago that was close to the projects, it was pretty rough, and we moved to the suburbs, and in a black suburb that was still rough, but it was just like fights and stuff. But my aunt and uncle had a house. They had two houses. Uncle worked at a railroad, and my mom rented out the house from my aunt. And I'm saying all of this to say that basically, I remember, yeah, it was a church actually on our block at the end of the block. People going to church. Come to find out, like when I actually moved to Dalton, and like which is the town over, about two towns over from where I was living. I was living in Harvey, Illinois. Um, the people, the family that I grew up with, they in Dalton, they went to, that was their church down the street from where I was living. So I remember a lot of families, two parent households. That's what I remember. Okay. So like from somehow or another, late 80s, early 90s, the whole teenage motherhood revolution kind of kicked off. A lot of teenage pregnancies. And it just started to like become a trend line where people just couldn't get married.
I
It
think
started it
that
started it started to become more funerals than married weddings.
weddings. I
Yeah.
think that came from something we were talking about last night, Genius, which was things like we were talking about the families, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that happened, like in New York, they started cracking down on the families, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the nuclear families, I'm talking about organized families.
Yeah.
Um, and they needed to find kind of a funnel to keep their empires going. And they realized that, again, like I was mentioning, we didn't have as a community that insulation, right? So I'll use again my cousin's barbershop as a barometer, right? So yes, he had the barbershop, but who did he get his supplies from? Because he wasn't getting his supplies from Rael. He wasn't getting his supplies from me. He wasn't getting his supplies from you, right? And so because of that, he is not insulated, right? So now coming to me is, like Ray said earlier, and I realize this too, right? Most people, especially those that look like us, are unable to wrap their head around using these strategies because it's intangible, right? And so we in those 84 is when Ready Rocks got really popping, which is correct, right? And that hit us with the allure of fast money. And that fast money, unfortunately, we were blocked, um, partially intentionally so, from a lot of access to it. That's why things like investing are so popular now in our community, right? Fortunately, we don't understand, and you said this yesterday. A lot of folks were talking about, like these trades. It sounds nice, but for you to really see a profit, you need a couple more zeros in there first,
Yeah.
right?
I'd rather sell wings in the hood. I'd rather sell wings. If I'm working with you, what you on, and I got a consistent cash flow making wings, bro, I'm doing that. That's better. But like we want everything to be sexy all the time. That's our problem. We want something that makes us look like we're with them instead of something that looks like it's not really something, but it's really something great because you're using the tools. See, tools. help you to build. That's the purpose of tools. So just like a hammer and a nail, when you have financial tools like what Alonzo talks about, integrated in an overall growth strategy, it ain't the lottery. But if you leverage it in the right capacity with the right types of people around you, it don't take long for that growth strategy to hit. And when it hits, it can exponentially grow over time at a faster rate because you got people around you doing their part and they're contributing. And so again, like what you was talking what Eugene was talking about on your wealth brunch, Alonzo, when he was talking about the small hats with what they were coming with in terms of their family with the patriarch and matriarch, they'll have like 7, 8 people paying on one policy. Next thing you know, they can go and take out a loan, borrow from the policy. They can borrow against or whatever, and then next thing you know, they can give their kid 400,000 to go get a home. What does that do? Okay, if I got my home paid for, all that capital that I'm making, depending on what I'm doing, just starting out. Imagine if we had our own, like, if we had our own house, it don't have to be brand new, but just small fixing that you needed or whatever the case may be. But you didn't have to pay rent or a mortgage. You know how much money is freed up in your hand? Now you could take that money to go, okay, we got 5 people over here. Let's pull our money together. Let's go get this over here. And then boom, let's set something up over here. Now we set this up over here, it generates money. Okay, now we got that going to another policy. Okay, now we're gonna help you get yours. Like, this is what people are doing. Like, people are literally coming over here into America specifically with these types of growth strategies in mind. Meanwhile, we got all these old Black people that are in the way. They, all these old Black people that don't have any type of strategy to help you get any money. They're begging you for money. You know, single moms begging money from the children, which basically is robbing them of their future, because now if you give money to your parents, not that you don't care about them, but you're basically burning money. So now they can't grow because they're so busy trying to pay for somebody who didn't properly plan for anything. And so and now you have family issues because now you got family issues over money. You know what I'm saying? Which is why Biggie made the song. So
More money, no problems.
right. So now you got financial literacy. That's your inheritance. Like, it's being passed down to you to be financially illiterate. So it's not about what you're making. It's what's your growth strategy to get out of that particular position, so you don't be in that position. So now you could be of an abundance mentality. So now you can start setting things up in place. This is the reason why things work in a lot of wealthy families, because they not only have those strategies, but they got rules of engagement around that money. If you want this money, you go over here and you finish school. I want you to do this. I want you to go over here. So there is a reward and punishment aspect of generational wealth when it comes to certain types of families. Like, yes, we will have some money set aside for you, but we need to see that you're a serious person too. So we
Well,
need
I'll
to
give
see
you one.
something from you.
So remember, I told you I had the video where I went to the IARFC, the International Association of Registered Financial Consultants.
Oh yeah, man, you need
There's
to
a
talk about
guy
that too.
who does the MDRT, right? So MDRT is $1 Million Round Table. That's the top 1% of financial advisors across 80 countries. There's a guy by the name of Dr. Sanjay Talani.
Mhm.
He operates in 100 countries. Indian guy. He mentioned that he had a client from Pakistan who was thinking 300 years into the future. Now, you know damn good and well he ain't going to be around to see if his family does or doesn't do it. But obviously, he's not only putting the money away, he's also giving the knowledge to the next generation, and not just giving the knowledge to the next generation, but the knowledge to give the knowledge to their next generation, and so on and so on.
Hmm.
Now, what happens is, like for example, let's use real estate, because real estate is and will always be one of the fastest ways to generational wealth. But in our community, we think that means home ownership, right? That ship
Mhm.
has long sailed. Property ownership is the fastest way to generational wealth. So what that means is, hey, listen, we need to get this starter house, right?
Hmm.
This little 2 bed, 1 bath, raised ranch, not the best neighborhood, not the worst neighborhood. Maybe it's out of the way, whatever, whatever. But that palatial mansion comes in the future. But also, like you said, caveats with money. So one thing that Dr. Solani stated was, by the way, he's a third generation financial advisor. So his
Hmm.
father and his grandfather were both financial advisors, and they were both top of the table MDRT. So again, MDRT means that you've made $1 million in 1 year just selling life insurance often. There's other ways you can qualify from assets under management, but I'm just going to look at the life insurance side. That means you made $1 million in 1 year off of just selling life insurance, right? This guy he's been in the industry 31 years. Do you know how many times he's been at and court of the table is $1 million. Top of the table, which is where he is 6 times MDRT qualifying. So basically $6 million. He set out a goal last year before he came to the IARFC this year to do top of the table every day for the year of 2023. Do you know he succeeded? So he's made about $6 million a day for the last 300 some odd days.
Mm.
Now, he comes to his family with a caveat. He says, "I have a large family. I'm Indian. That Asian influence. We have certain things." So he mentioned one of the things that happens in the Asian community is when a father is going to pass down his business, he generally passes the money to the daughter, right, which is the asset, and the business to the son, which, believe it or not, is the liability, because the son got to make sure the business remains profitable,
Mhm.
right? But he said in his family, they have big families as well. He has a caveat. Now, every child in his family, when they turn 16 years old, they get a monthly stipend of $3,000 a month for the rest of their life. That's that eyelid stuff, Rael.
Hmm.
But they have a caveat. He said the caveat is every day you must eat breakfast with the family. Right? Now that's a simple caveat, but at 16, I don't want to sit with y'all, especially in our community. We
Mhm.
Hmm.
don't have that bond or that build of, hey, listen, we're going to eat a meal together,
Yeah.
right? So now these kids are probably going to the finest of schools,
Mhm.
Hmm.
in the finest of clothes, and the every souped up BMW they could want,
Mhm.
because they've got $3,000 a month. Likely any home that they set foot in is owned free and clear,
Mhm.
because the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So like what you were saying with the families and um Rael mentioned wings, but he kind of besmirched the idea of investing. I don't look I look at like, well, pretty much anything you make, if you go buy some toilet paper for 50 cents and you sell it for $2, I mean you've made some type of profit. That's an investment. I mean, wings, no different. I actually make pretty good wings. I actually thought about even going into business to sell wings. But I mean, what the families do, like you mentioned, they would have someone that had a restaurant. They would, basically break bread with them. They would have someone that was an accountant. They would have someone else that, deals with insurance. they would integrate everybody that's basically useful, and their families were poor. See, like a lot of what black people do and a lot of people do, they separate themselves from their family. So what happens is, so you might be rich, but you still come from a poor family because your family is poor. You're rich, but your family is still poor. So it's like the caveat to that is, or the lesson to that is, um, you gotta try to help your family. If they're not listening, or they're not, I don't know, man. I mean, you gotta try to. If you got $100 million, just get them like Sanjay. Make a deal. Hey, we gotta meet and have dinner once a month, and everybody gets $2,000 a month or something, or 1,500 a month,
Mm.
whatever. And it just give it to them. You got it. I mean, you do have it. Like, I'm not saying that you got to give anybody money, but I don't get the whole don't give anybody any money type thing. Like, I mean, George Clooney, what he does with his friends, he gives all his friends $1 million each every year. He got enough money that I don't know how much his net worth is. I think he like probably 500 million. I don't know. He got more than enough money to just give all his friends about $1 million a year. Now,
That's probably some hella tax write off.
some people, right? It might be a tech. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, he probably have a. Because I mean, if you like I was watching a video, think today, you can be a philanthropist and use that to like kind of make more money or to kind of like springboard yourself or whatever. But yeah, like I know a lot of people don't probably agree with that, but I would rather be rich from a rich family than a rich guy with a poor family. You know what I'm saying? That
Well,
just
so with black
Well,
people,
well,
the
my
difficulty
mentality
is
is
this.
this. Hold on.
Go ahead, bro.
And I think this is one of the most fundamental issues in Black America. Just because you're related to somebody, that does not make them your family. Blood don't make you family. And I know that's a very hard pill for a lot of Black people to swallow. But family is a way of operating. Family is supposed to help you self actualize to be the best version of yourself. Okay. And so I'll be the first one to say, man, like, I'm not of the mindset of investing in those who don't invest in the family in terms of the collective. That is one of the biggest issues that we have. We have a robbing Peter to pay Paul mentality in Black America. Okay, and as somebody like Alonzo can attest, you know, he can, from even his own vantage point, selling life insurance. The family aspect is not the greatest aspect to it. It should be. It should be, but it's not. Um, and so like that's not even how things work. Like you can't be generationally don't put anything into anything and expect something out of it. That's just that's a welfare mentality. And we got too much of that in Black America. And I sure as hell I ain't doing that for no guys. I'm not of that mentality. Now if we got a circle of guys and we got a plan to move forward. I don't if a dude comes in, let's say a dude comes in a circle and he's flat broke, but he got A1 credit and he could use that credit to advance our interest on certain things. Yes, I'll invest in him because he's putting in. That's how you're supposed to do it. Let's say he don't have it. But if he gets to the point where we can use him to ultimately leverage some money long term and do business together, I'm gonna support that. There is a purpose. Giving people just money is not purposeful. The reason why this Indian dude, they had it set up like that because they had a setup to where those kids, those young people at 16, ultimately in the future are being set up to pour back into it later.
Oh yeah, another caveat was they had to get a life insurance and put it in
Right.
the family trust.
So there's it's purposeful. Like it ain't just like they getting free money. No, they're being set up early to be successful later so they can contribute generationally. And see, this is going to this is going to be a big fight in Black America because you have baby boomer Black people. Most of them are broke. And that sounds great until these old people start hitting y'all up for money that you don't have and putting a strain on you. And if you have your own family, now that's causing problems between you and your wife and all these types of things because your parent don't have their stuff together. And this is going to be a fight. Okay. This is going to be a fight. Baby boomers are aging out at a fast rate. The next 10 years is going to be very disastrous because a lot of these people did not properly plan their estate. And then they're going to come like they do. Because I remember when my great grandparents were alive, it was very important for people of that generation to, one of the most important things they wanted to do is buy their own burial plot. Why? Because when they
Hmm.
passed, they did not want to pass on the responsibility of burying themselves to the future generations and robbing them of their money, their hard-earned money that they had. So they didn't put that responsibility on them. So what does that do? Okay, well, if they have the ability and have the money, their own plot and all that to bury themselves, that's less infighting amongst the family because a lot of times during funerals, a lot of
Stuff
fighting
gets
takes
wicked.
place amongst Black people because, well, I don't have the money to pay for them, and instead of just grieving for a loved one, you don't only just have grief, but now you got fights amongst that grief, and
I
people
got a
will sit there
personal
and not
story
talk
from
to
that.
each other for 15, 20, 25, 30 years over
Hmm.
$500 on a funeral cost.
So I got a personal story from so earlier this year. I had an aunt that passed away, and on my wife's side, and it's crazy because her children weren't involved in her later stage life care. Who was my brother-in-law. And when she did finally pass on, they called him and expected him to, make all to make all the funeral arrangements. But when it came time to it, because he wasn't, number one, she didn't have a will and final testament. So she had nothing on paper that said he's going to take care of this, that, and the third. And the person who was receiving her monthly money anyway was one of her eldest daughters. So when it came time for the people to come and say, "Hey, we need our money," she was like, "We'll call him." And then they was like, "No, no, 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 no. Your name is the name that came up when it came to you getting the money. So we're calling you." And so, long story short, it came time to set up the funeral. And she was like, "Oh, she sent out a GoFundMe link." And I was like, "Why didn't they have life insurance? Like, I'm right here. I understand it would have been expensive. She's older, but again, comes into play like Eugene Mitchell said. You got kids and grandkids. 1,000% guarantee that people gonna die. So we know that that was gonna happen. Everybody could have came together and chipped in $25 because everybody chipped in $75 when we wanted to go to Copacabana or Aruba or what have you. I didn't go, but you get the point.
Or them cruises, yeah.
Exactly. Them cruises every year.
mm,
Everybody seem to be able to get up their $1,000 for 10 people get up $1,000 to go to the cruise, but
mm,
10 people can't get up $100 to pay for this funeral,
mm,
right? So long story short, she started cussing everybody out, talking about, oh, you know, I don't see how grown adults can't have X, Y, and Z. Well, number one, this is something that came set like the rest of us weren't prepared for that. Yes,
mm,
we understand she was up in age and so on and so forth, but you, my lady, were the one who was getting her checks every month,
Hmm.
right? So when she passed, she had a total of $1,200 in her bank account. That part of that was used to pay for her funeral. The GoFundMe got $0 because nobody in the family donated because we're like,
Hmm.
no, I don't know where this GoFundMe money is gonna go. I don't know who, if so and so is gonna do what she says. And
mm,
then, long and short, my brother ended up having to get it arranged for a substantially low amount. And the homegoing service, although it was beautiful, was I couldn't even tell you if it was her what she would have wanted or not because we don't have it on paper. And so even when it goes to black folks who get money, Chadwick Boseman,
Hmm.
what's the black Gladys Knight who died without a will,
Aretha
right?
Franklin.
No, you mean Aretha
Aretha
Franklin?
Franklin. Yeah, I'm sorry, Aretha Franklin, who died without a will, right? Prince
Prince.
died
Absolutely,
without
yeah.
a will,
Yep.
right?
Prince.
And
Hmm.
so these things are, again, so the insurance is one aspect, right? But I promise you, the whole Talani family, they also have a will. Well, they have an eyelid, so obviously they're going to have a will. But, you know, what I've found is, and even in my own family, right? I had a situation where this was when we had a house in East Haven, Connecticut. So we had just moved out here. It was 2019. I said, okay, this is our house. Let's have our first Thanksgiving in our house. My wife and I, this is going to be our house, our Thanksgiving. Family comes over. Listen, I want to talk to y'all about this life insurance. We know all we need to know about life insurance. All right, say no more. After that, one of my great aunts passed. Her daughter had to pull out of her 401k to pay for the funeral. But you knew all you needed to know about life insurance, right? Like I said, bro, you guys know I talk
Don't
about my.
it don't matter because okay, so I sell herbs. Okay, I sell natural herbs. Um, it's people that I know personally. Like I went to high school with them. They see me posting stuff online or health stuff. They see me, posting links about my business selling herbs. And it's like one guy that I grew up with, he was about a year younger than me. He just recently, and he was a mechanic, he just recently died like about, I want to say, a month ago. And it's like, I used to go to his house. I knew his mom, I knew his dad. His dad was also a mechanic. He was a twin. And um I mean, I got family that don't buy my products and stuff like that, and they sick. So it doesn't matter. Like my herbs is like cheap. Like it's not, it's what, $10, $20, top maybe 30, $50, depending on what quantity you get. They don't even, it's a, it's, I got a, like on my Facebook page, that's associated with my channel, Broke Geniuses. You know, people talk about Pookies and shit, but um some Pookies got, some good shit to say, or some enlightening stuff to say. And one of the things, one of the videos, is Bad Man Kevo. He said basically people just don't really want to see you shine. The reason why they don't want to support you is because they don't want you to come up and shine on them. So if you get a whole bunch of support, you're going to make more money. You're going to get a better car, probably, or a newer car, and a newer house, and all of these different things that come from you getting money, whatever you do with it. Um, People, a lot of times, and black people, this is really, I'm glad I really, I'm really saying this because I really wasn't really thinking it. A lot of black people do not want to support each other because we have egos and we are competitive towards each other to the point where we really don't like each other. We're easily able to hate each other and just put people in a box and throw them in the garbage, and they don't want to support each other, and they'll rather support everybody else and then complain when things are not going the way they're supposed to go. Well, other people don't do that. They support each other even if they don't like the person. They still support them because they're not going to support you. You go. I tell people go experiment. Go take you. You ain't got to go start a business or get an LLC. Go take some stuff to the flea market, your local flea market, and like a mixed community or something, and see who supports you. Okay, and then you're gonna be surprised, and you're gonna see racism or whatever you want to think about it in its full form, and you're gonna see that whoever supports you and who doesn't, and you'll be surprised. And that's literally on a bigger scale, whatever how big you want to think how that is. It's very difficult to get support um from not only your own kind or your own cultural background, and definitely um let's just say non-blacks as well. They just don't support because they don't have to, and they look at you as inferior. So um yeah, it's like the only time we got support is really like, yeah, when we were in segregation, because we had to support each other because we didn't have anybody else. If you had a dime store, you people had to buy stuff from you because you were the only dime store that they can go in, so it's weird. But like I say, I'm selling shit that's like $20, maybe $10. I'm not selling anything that costs a monthly payment of $200 or more and maybe a down payment. It's just merchandise that is like, less than the price of gas or to fill up your car. So, people, stupid is what stupid does. You know, that's just, a lot of people are two things, either dumb, either stupid or crazy or both. And you could add egotistical to it as well. Like they just don't want to support you because you said something that hurt their feelings 6 months ago or whatever the fuck. Like it's just how people are, man. And black people are like that really bad. They go back to the plantation. You know, I don't want to see you run away and have a good life, so I'm gonna tell Massa on you. He about to Jesse Lee about to run. They all got their
I'm mad you
supplies.
said Jesse Lee.
Yeah, they all got their supplies, and they got it under they got it under the maple tree by the shack over there, Massa. And then Massa find out, you know, then get the whip. Yeah. It's plantation mentality. See, everybody talk about Shahrazad Ali. Remember Shahrazad Ali is the champion, and she was about to work with Kevin Samuels. They always talk about the guy that understand the black woman, guy that understand the black woman, all that shit. She got two other books that nobody talks about. One was about pork and all of the harmful things that come from eating pork, and the second was Are You a Slave? And that book actually is a questionnaire to find out, do you still have slave mindsets and mentalities that are associated from basically American slavery. Okay, because it's slavery wasn't that long ago. I mean, I was born in '80. My great grandmother had the same birthday I got, and she was born in like 1918 or something like that, 1908, something like that. So her grandmother was around during slavery. My great grandmother that I used to go over, cut her grass and everything, her grandmother was picking cotton, whips, chains, all that. So it wasn't that long ago. Still have the same mindsets, still have the same problems. And you know, it's like people have not broken the chains of that in their mind. And that's the real red pill. Like people talking all this red pill shit and becoming conscious and awakened. That's the true ultimate consciousness. It ain't got nothing. Women is just one aspect of that. It's waking up, stopping the foolishness as best as you can, working on yourself, growing, healing yourself. Like you said, you're a realist. Well, I mean, being a realist, you're recognizing reality whether you like it or not. Looking at the man in the mirror like Michael Jackson. Are you proud of the man in the mirror? Are you okay with the man in the mirror? Or are you trying to basically just ignore the man in the mirror and just do your own thing and then not working on your own flaws and imperfections? So
Well,
I
let me
gotta
say this,
go.
man.
I gotta go
Okay,
in a
you
minute
go.
because I gotta get up to go to work, man. Um, but
Yeah, all good. I'm about to start winding down in a minute anyway. So, matter of fact, go ahead, y'all. Go. Y'all could let's drop our final thoughts, and then I'm gonna close this out.
You can go.
yeah, I already said it. That's pretty much what all I have to say.
No doubt, bro.
Peace out, y'all.
All right, peace. Um, um, some of the, research that I've done, what we've talked about, and you know, um, the notion that black people only work together because of segregation is one of the most um, erroneous notions. Because when you look at the history, even within the slavery context, you actually saw black people operating businesses in slavery. You had black people setting up things that were tantamount to um, employment agencies, to where they would hire people to do their work for them, to go pursue business opportunities, and slave owners didn't mind because they got a cut of the money. So as long as their work got done and they also got a cut of the money that they were making, the slave owners didn't mind. And so what you had back then were black people who were actually manipulating the system to their advantage. So for instance, you would have a black person that would pay, they would have something set up as far as business. And so they'll pay for somebody else's freedom to operate the business for them, or basically hire them while they were still in slavery, because it was advantageous for them to do so based on the context of that particular situation. Um, Post slavery, that same mentality translated into the post-slavery environment. Black people got to work. Black people built institutions, not because of segregation, but because black people wanted to build institutions together. You don't go from 1886 to 1934 and build 134 black-owned banks and do that because segregation. No, you do that because you want to. You don't have by 1917 118 black owned hospitals because of segregation. You have it because black people saw the necessity to build such institutions. You don't build the National Negro Business League, a business consortium of black men started by Booker T. Washington because of segregation. You do it because you want to do business with black men and black women for the benefit of black America, to the point that Teddy Roosevelt took that idea and utilized the template of the National Negro Business League to set up the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the largest business organization in the world. Now, that was started off the blueprint of a black man, though. So before the National Negro Business League, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce didn't exist. So we have to put to bed the notion that the only reason why black people work together back then was because of segregation. That's false. You were dealing with a different type of black person or black people collectively. The no good black people of that particular time were the minority. The black people who wanted to build institutions were the majority. The problem is that much of this BS miseducation that black people have gotten through a lot of these institutions has contributed to black people's financial literacy, illiteracy. It's ironic that many of the black people of these particular times back then were the least educated, but they were the most productive in terms of institutional building. Whereas we're a heavily educated group of people in terms of degrees, but we're the most financially illiterate group of black people that has ever existed. I would say part of that is the miseducation, and financial illiteracy is not just a black thing in America, it's a American thing. So I don't subscribe to the notion that without segregation, because to me you will basically be giving white people credit for black people working together, which I wouldn't do that. The reality is that was a different type of black person back then. They were actually working in. I got research. I'm actually putting together a presentation I've been doing, on the Brain Trust. That's literally going to have this type of information in it, showing how black people was operating businesses even in slavery. So that notion is completely put to rest. That is not true. Segregation is not the reason why black people built a lot of the institutions that they built. They built it because black people believed in each other. They believed in the necessity of having these institutions, and so they built them. And so you could see black people building institutions um, even before emancipation, and you can even see black people building institutions like schools in different countries, like in Africa, for example, in the 1700s. So we need to disabuse ourselves of the notion that we're not capable of working together without white people in terms of from a racism standpoint. Like that's the only way we can work together is if it's a racist white person in the vicinity. Like that, no, that's not the truth. But ultimately, um, we have more opportunities. We definitely have more social mobility. I think it's ironic that the more social mobility black people have, the less that they're working together. When black people had the least amount of social mobility, they actually work together. Um, but now that we have all this social mobility, black people don't want to work together. But I think that's a cultural thing based on the type of orientation black people took on after people like Booker T. Washington and Marcus Garvey left the scene. A certain class of black people steered them in the wrong direction. That's a story for another day. But No, actually, the notion of us not working together is a false notion. Um, if that was the case, you wouldn't have things like the U.S. Chamber of Commerce come into existence based off of us actually working together. So, um, but ultimately, like people got some really serious issues that's coming up on the horizon. Like I said, the boomer generation is going to be a very heavy strain on Gen X family members, millennial generation, and even Z to a certain point. And you know, we got some very tough decisions that we're going to have to make moving forward in the next 5 to 10 years. Otherwise, Black people is going to be really in a very decimated position economically and politically too. So, uh, you know, coming in spaces like this, getting this type of information is what Black people are going to need to turn it around. And that's just it. You ain't got no choice but to turn around, or you just going to be completely screwed out here. I'll leave it there.
Thank you for that, brother. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know who it is. You know what to do. Um, I will be having. I can't say with any particular uh, method to the madness or consistency, because again, I do use social media for business, not as business. So I can't really dedicate myself to a specific time or day for lives. I will try to continue to do the Friday night financials. You'll see me with the financial advocacy podcast. But there was some very, very, very important gems dropped here throughout this entire live. If you found some value to it, and you are so inclined, you can feel welcome to uh, financially support there via the Cash App AHall374. If not, no harm, no foul. I really would appreciate it, however, if you do at least share this with 5 people that you think could find some value in this. And if not this video, because it's long form, some of my shorter form stuff. This information is invaluable, especially to the Black community. And if we want to make change, then it is upon the shoulders of the Black man to make that happen. It's a man's world. So, as Black men, we have to uh, take that captain's or that pilot's seat. Seeking my creator, I'll shoot you that email. I got your email last night. I'll shoot you that email today. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, wipe ass, work in progress every day, and see success. And remember, folks, when people challenge you, they don't challenge you to challenge you, but they challenge you to challenge you. Accept the challenge. Salute.